From Screen Junkie Studios in the heart of Los Angeles, this is Screen Junkies Movie Fights. Now your host, Andy Signore. Today's episode is presented by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
Hello, Screen Junkies. I am not your host, Andy. Well, I'm your host, but I'm not Andy Signore. Andy Signore is on vacation. I am Dan Merle. I'm hosting today's show. Welcome back. We were at Comic-Con for a week. We're back. We're live here on YouTube. Live movie fights. How fun is that? And we have some great fights for you today, including what actors should get their own Taken-style franchise. I'll pitch a title for the next James Bond movie. We're hearing more about that. And this is one of my favorites. I can't wait to hear these. Pitch a worse idea than the Emoji Movie. That should be a lot of fun. If you want to join the conversation, you can go live on Twitter, #MovieFightsLive. And if you're watching live on YouTube, I hear that there's an infinitely fast scrolling bar of text you can jump into. Why not? A reminder that we are live this week. We are going to be going live every single week. However, we do have one last bit of Comic-Con business to wrap up. So we're not going to be live next week. Andy will still be on vacation. And we had a all-star episode at San Diego Comic-Con. We showed you the Elijah Wood, Kevin Smith fight last week. That was super fun. We also did an all-star panel at Comic-Con in San Diego that we are going to bring to you next Thursday here at 4 o'clock. So we will be here next Thursday. However, we're going to be showing you our Comic-Con panel. It was super fun. Spencer was there, Alicia Malone, Doug Benson. Yeah. Lots of fun people were there. So check that out next week. And then 2 weeks from today, we'll be back here live on YouTube and every week after that with movie fights. So before we get into the show, of course, we want to meet our great panel of fighters. I was lucky enough to get to judge today and kind of weigh in on who I wanted to be on the show. And I think this is a great roster. First of all, he's no stranger to this show. He is the master of the speed round, Koi Janjo. Koi, welcome back.
So excited. First YouTube show.
Yes.
It's even higher. I feel it. I feel the internet watching.
Feel that live internet
It's all
energy.
out there. They're giving me speed and power.
The safety net's gone, Koi.
Definitely speed. There, guys. Hi.
She made her debut on the show earlier this year, and she has proven herself to be a fierce competitor. Charlie Feldman, welcome back.
I put on pants for the occasion, and I even showered.
Prove it. Wow.
They're almost skirt-like pants. I'll show you later.
Well, Charlie, welcome to the show. I'm so happy that you joined us, and this is tough for me to say. He's in the champ's chair. He is the current movie fights champion, who I guess now the champion gets to fight. This is not a belt match, but I guess the champion gets to fight now. Spencer Gilbert.
I'll put the belt on anytime, any place.
Well,
he's got the belt on.
He's got the belt on right now. I don't know if I think Andy would. That would be too much of a conflict of interest. I want
you, Dan.
I'm
not overlooking my competition today.
Yeah.
But it's not real till I beat you.
I don't think me judging a belt fight where you were fighting for the belt would be viewed as an impartial observer.
Real nail biter, though.
I'm tempted, but I'm going to say no. And filling in for me on the fact-checking couch, the game master himself, Lon Harris. Lon, how's it going?
Going pretty good. Yeah, I look forward to the emails we'd all get if we decided to randomly put the belt on the line.
I think Andy would fly back from his vacation and burst through the wall of the studio if we did a belt fight.
It's my belt. I can do what I want.
We'd learn all the Scandinavian curse words he's learned this week.
Exactly.
Hear them all.
IKEA!
Before we jump into round one, I do want to say something. We love that we are live now every single week on YouTube, Thursdays, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And the reason why we're able to do that is that we have a great partner and sponsor in T-Mobile. Not only are they bringing you movie fights live on YouTube every week, they sponsored Screen Junkie Central last week in San Diego, or week before last in San Diego, which was amazing. They did last year's Screen Junkie Central as well. We were able to have a great party both times. We had the great event. You just watched the Kevin Smith Elijah Wood fight. That was because they helped us out with that entire event. Also, TV Fights is on Screen Junkies News now every week on Tuesdays. Movie Fights here live. Watching Thrones with Spencer is there live every Monday. Honest Trailer Commentaries is over on News every Wednesday, and they are all free on YouTube every week instead of behind the paywall because T-Mobile is helping us out with that. So we want to thank you, T-Mobile. We could not do these shows and bring them to you in front of the paywall without their help and support. So watch all those shows on Screen Junkies and Screen Junkies News, and thank you, T-Mobile, for helping us bring those out to the public because I think people have really been enjoying what they've seen so far, and we look forward to keeping on bringing it to you guys. So before we go into the game, just a quick reminder. This is not just based on your answers. This is based on your arguments. All scoring is based on the facts presented, on passion, and on creativity. Any questions before we start? You're all veterans.
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
Hear the music.
What a lovely day! Are you not entertained?
Let them fight.
Nice.
I like that. That's good. That's fun.
It's electric.
It's very dramatic. All right, guys, round one. There's a Halle Berry movie coming out called Kidnap this weekend.
psyched.
It's not gonna light the box office on fire.
Allegedly.
How dare you?
We'll see.
I don't know.
That
We'll
big
see.
August
That's true.
release.
Big August release.
What could go wrong with a Catwoman-esque character?
In a minivan.
Exactly.
Pissed off.
There's also a trailer. Eli Roth's doing a remake of Death Wish with Bruce Willis. So there's a lot of revenge thriller type things going on in the news right now. So we thought it'd be fun to ask what actor or actress who doesn't have one already should get their own Taken style action franchise. Liam Neeson kind of reinvigorated this whole genre back with Taken. You can really build something around one of these personalities. So we wanted you to find an actor, actress that doesn't have one of these that you think would do well. And Coy, you're in the first chair. You start us off.
So when I think incredible franchise, and when I think action star, and when I think revenge plot, and when I think charismatic but dastardly and intense, I think the only man that can act with one eyeball, Tom Hardy. This man is so interesting in every movie he's in. He doesn't have to talk. This man does nothing wrong, and the only time we had a lighter action movie starring him, it just so happened to be a rom-com, so we need to fix that. The only smidge on his otherwise beautiful resume. This man needs a franchise where he gets to be an action star in a more traditional linear way. We've had him do great things in intellectual action films like Interstellar and Inception. We've had him do brilliant things with Mad Max. We haven't had him in a full-blown 80s/early 90s revenge thriller. There's a reason Payback is so good. It's because Mel Gibson was the action star then. You know who the new Mel Gibson is now? Tom Hardy. He needs this franchise.
New Mel Gibson, all right.
With less anti-Semitism. The polite Mel Gibson. Great guy, Tom Hardy.
You
Charlie,
can call me Sugar Tits, though, and I'd probably be fine. Me
too.
Charlie, who's your pick?
We all agree on that.
He can grunt it, too.
So when I think of a Taken franchise, I think about a new opportunity for an actor that hasn't really shown what they got. Liam Neeson, everyone pegged him as a certain type of actor, a dramatic actor, a Schindler's List sort of actor, but they didn't really look at him and think action movie, Dark Man notwithstanding. So when I think about the actresses I would like to see kick some butt and take name, I know we're live, I don't know if I could say...
Yeah.
I think about the mother of all action stars who absolutely needs a comeback, who had the guns and ready to use them, and that's Linda Hamilton. Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor herself, is ready for that comeback. She was out, we need to bring her back in. She's at that age where she can really bring the gravitas to a character role where someone is abducted, probably her child, and she has to go out of her way to help and find it and use her set of skills, and her set of skills is being the best mom to ever be in any sort of film franchise. And on top of that, in my research, I learned that she's been dealing with bipolar disorder, and I feel like it'd be a good thing to put out there that people who have mental illness can still lead franchises to the top, and she's the one to do it. She's a badass.
Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor returns, Spencer.
Guys, there's only one answer. It's Jacob the Tiny Terror Tremblay. I mean, look at that killer. He is the last person you'd ever expect to be a highly trained assassin, and that, to me, is the joy of a Taken-style movie. It's something like Taken with Liam Neeson, or John Wick with Keanu, or even earlier with Bourne and Damon, where you're like, I did not realize that person kicks ass. That's what I want out of these movies. I want my jaw to drop, to be so surprised when some actor who I don't think of as a killer slices someone's throat off, or in Jacob Tremblay's case, maybe biting someone's balls off or jumping out of a steam vent to kill somebody. I think that he would be such a shock, and it would be so awesome to see a Killer Kid movie, and I think he's the perfect one to do it.
All right, guys. So we have this is not the. I'm gonna be honest. This is not the lineup I had in mind when we came up with this question. We have Tom Hardy, Linda Hamilton, and Jacob Tremblay. So many directions to go. Fight it out, you guys.
I've seen Home Alone 3, and I've seen all the movies like that since, and they never felt right. Spy Kids didn't work, and it doesn't work now. And I feel like
Coy, we are
amazing.
living in a child murderer renaissance. What's her name? Daphne Keane in Logan. People love that. Hit Girl, Chloe Grace Moretz. There's another one that I'm
Does
forgetting.
Tremblay have it? He doesn't. He's this Muppet. He's adorable. He doesn't have the gravitas
That's what.
to pull
It's
off
the
it.
surprise factor. I
A surprise
know
had
what
to
I'm
be
getting from Linda
hilarious.
Hamilton. I'm getting Sarah Connor, but old.
You just
You would
listed two
want
great
that,
supporting
though.
characters. Those supporting characters, he didn't carry a franchise. He just did that awful movie.
Tell me
about
all the
Colin Trevorrow.
franchises that Tom Hardy's
Well,
carried.
franchises during Mad Max and
That was
was Charlize Theron's movie.
But he's gonna do Carnage as well, which
Venom.
is to say that he has franchises that he's carrying right now.
Right.
He doesn't need this
He's
movie.
I'm not saying need the movie. I'm
He's
saying
at
the movie that would be
peak of
best.
his career.
He
He
would
doesn't
be the
carry
best in
those
this
franchises.
movie.
He rides on the franchise's coattails. He shows up with Christopher Nolan and be like, hey, can you put me in another great movie?
Have you seen
puts
Bronson?
a
Have you
stamp on
seen any
things.
of the things that's
They're
the
all
men-
flops. They're fine, but like
These are
Bronson...
all
flops?
movies of
Mad
men.
Max is
Yeah, that
not a
movie is
flop.
incredibly huge.
No,
Dunkirk is not
Tom
a
Hardy's
flop.
solo movies
That
are
Colin
flops.
Trevorrow movie that this kid just did was not even a
Yeah,
movie.
because they...
And-
spoiler alert, he dies in like the first 10 minutes.
So this kid does not
He
carry a
doesn't
movie
have
yet,
what
and
it
he's in
takes.
Predator. That's going to be great for him, and maybe then we can see it. But this kid is not something we need. That's not something I'd go see. And have you
You
heard
would
of...
not see Jacob Tremblay busting out of a steam vent and biting an Eastern European's balls off.
Spy
I mean,
Kids
that's
7 doesn't
hilarious.
sound good to me.
That is 100%
That's an SNL
hilarious.
skit.
and
No,
it's a
we would
really-
play it straight.
It's 100% hilarious. It's a funny idea, but it's not something that people are going to show up for and really like be into it because it's Spy Kids.
Why not?
You're
It's
picking
not
Spy
Spy
Kids or
Kids.
picking Home Alone. It's not as interesting as Linda Hamilton, who we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen what she's fully capable of in a
Yeah,
while.
because the only role she's known for is Sarah Connor. We
you
will
guys-
And she's
always
due
be
for a comeback.
comparing
The
her
only
to Sarah
role
Connor.
Liam Neeson was really known for was Schindler's List for the most part.
It's
And
not
Liam
true. What are you
Neeson-
talking about?
He is everyone.
He's everyone. Name another. Rob Roy?
Yeah, Liam Neeson was the guy in the 80s that showed up, and you're like, hey, that guy
Hey,
I love.
yeah.
But
And
he
that's-
wasn't a star. It wasn't until Taken that people took him as a different
But
type
have
of
you,
actor.
have you heard
So
of
if I
Easy
wanna
Does
see,
It, Shoot Me Nicely, A Sunday Horse, Law School, or perhaps Bermuda Tentacles? Because that was 2015 to 2017's Linda Hamilton run. Those are
That's
five
what I'm
movies she
saying.
did in the last
she,
2 years.
She has the acting capability to be a star.
Does
but
she?
She hasn't shown
but
it.
Hollywood
Does she?
turns their back on women who are of a certain age. Everybody knows that.
Sigourney Weaver's
She
in The
hasn't-
Defenders. Sigourney Weaver is the Linda
There
Hamilton
are
of
you
Beyond.
you could give me outliers, but that's not the usual thing. Helen Mirren, you can give me that, but Linda Hamilton deserves.
I would watch Helen Mirren
I would
before
watch Helen Mirren
watch,
in a second. Thank you.
yeah.
That's a great idea.
Linda
That's an awesome
Hamilton
one.
deserves this new role because it's something we haven't seen from her in a long time. She deserves to carry.
I'm sorry,
this-
she very clearly peaked.
She had her time in the 80s, and
That's
she was
what
great.
people decided for her, and she would come back to kick
I think
ass.
Bermuda Tentacles decided it for her. Perhaps A Sunday Horse decided
Because
it for
that's the
her.
roles that people will give her. I want to see someone who has the balls to see Linda Hamilton and be like, I remember her as Sarah Connor, and I know she can carry
But
an
she doesn't have
action
the
franchise.
physicality. She doesn't have the ambiance
Have you
of this.
seen her guns in T2?
Yeah, in
If she can take
1992.
out-
I certainly
I saw
did
the
in
guns
T2.
then.
Liam
Where's the guns
Neeson-
now, Charlie?
If Liam Neeson can bulk up, so can Linda Hamilton. You guys are good.
Or
at
put
putting-
Helen Mirren in. She's ready now. I love
You-
this
but
Helen Mirren
putting,
idea.
You're putting things against her that don't exist. She has the capability. She can get trainers to bulk up. That's not an excuse.
You gotta lean
Whereas
into it. You gotta
Tremblay-
make her an older mom character for it to be
Who's
even
gonna
With
be
passable.
Tremblay, you have
Here's
to
some
make him
money.
you have to make him ferocious. He's not.
He's ferocious.
He's a muppet.
Who's
He
gonna
can
put
be
money?
ferocious, and
Who's
Tom
gonna-
Hardy.
adorable.
Tom Hardy's the least inspired choice possible. It's like, oh, we're making like a gritty revenge action movie. Let's get the grumbly guy.
So we
who-
get the guy who can actually act and do the revenge. This guy can do action.
It's
He
just
can do
not
drama. He can do.
interesting.
But he
He's
takes
absolutely
interesting
He makes
roles,
everything
and I know
interesting.
you want to smooch him, and I love you.
You
And
look
I
like him,
want
and I know you want to become
Those are
him in
luscious
some weird
lips.
talented
He's
Mr.
got my
Ripley
same
thing.
birthday, and I've stalked him for years.
I want this for you, but he doesn't belong in every single role.
That's
he
before
already
he
does
does.
really interesting action. I feel like kidnap movies, you're already at a certain point in your career where you don't, like, you can't get any other role.
So you're saying it doesn't
Linda
deserve to be
Hamilton,
better than
as
that?
you guys said, Linda Hamilton can't get another role. She can get a role like this and blow it out of the park because no one has these expectations for her.
It sounds like a direct-to-DVD.
Right? Why not make
thing
it better? You just said he's
Because
above
you
this. Why not
guys
make the
are-
franchise
You
better?
also,
Because
neither
he's
of
that
you have
good.
touched on any kind of interesting relationship that your character
what
could have.
relationship
that-
is like biting
They
at the
kidnap
balls?
his parents. So Taken
didn't
is
mention
about
that
they've,
until right
they've
now.
kidnapped the children. Clearly the Halle Berry one, they've kidnapped her daughter. What if we reverse it? What if it's, oh my god, the parents are gone, but they messed with the wrong kid? That's an interesting premise. Whereas you are just doing generic action
You're
movies.
pitching us Home Alone, but now there's like more hit
But
girl
a
action.
bloody
with
Home
Jake-
Alone
Jake
is not
Tremblay.
Are you not gonna see that movie?
It just doesn't feel like the time.
What? Because I love this. This is what I missed from the show. However, I do want to kind of structure it a little bit. Spencer, with Tremblay. I mean, are we talking Tremblay? Are we talking R-rated? Is this?
Oh, yeah,
Is
definitely.
this is
Hard
hard?
R.
This is hard R.
This is like Hit Girl. This is like Logan. This is a kid murdering people.
And this is action. This is played straight. This isn't like goofy.
There will be funny parts where like the hitman comes or henchman comes over like, "Are you okay, kid?" And he's like, "Damn right, I'm okay," and just pulls out a shotgun and stuff like that. It will be played for jokes at times, but the tone is going to be, it'll be like Taken or John Wick. Like this is at his core, he's a scared kid who misses his dad, but on the outside, he's a trained stone cold killer.
Okay, Charlie, I'm curious. The Linda Hamilton movie. What is the feel that
So
you have
these
in your
guys
mind?
are doing what Hollywood did. They are underselling her and undervaluing what she brings brings to roles. I've seen her in T2. We've all seen her in T2, but we've also seen her in Beauty and the Beast. She has this range where she can be sensitive, she can be badass. She has this ability about her. And just because Hollywood looked at her and looked at her mental illness and they're like, no, she's out. We're not interested in her. I'm not going to do that. I see her and I see a star that needs to be up in lights again. This is her time. She's paid her dues. She deserves to show what she has, and that's strength of will. Because Sarah Connor went and she busted ass in Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, especially Terminator 2, and she'll do it again. Those guns are under, I know those middle-aged lady like flaps, they're under there. So she just needs to refine them. And they're there. They're there, and she deserves this chance.
Coy, yeah, when you're envisioning Tom Hardy's take on this.
I love the idea of his wife and son being taken. I love it even more, the family loss.
So Taken 2.
And yeah, but the Taken 2, the problem was it rehashed the first one. I want to actually see something transcend the medium. Like you were saying, like Tom Hardy's better than this. I want to see a kidnap movie I actually go see. I didn't see Taken 2, I didn't see Taken 3, I didn't see Taken on a Plane or whatever it was called. I want to see a kidnap movie like it was in the 80s. Like, I think Payback is a really good movie. I think movies then, when they cared about grit and they actually wrote the story where it matters. So I want to see Tom Hardy because he would make the movie better and he would demand the script be better. I want to see something where it's better than the medium, not something that's direct to DVD. Or, I mean, there's a reason we haven't seen her in 20 years. That might not just be the system. The system's broken. Everyone knows the system's broken, but we also don't have any counterpoint beyond stuff in the 80s. She might be actually someone that can't work, and I don't know if I want to see Tremblay do anything that feels like Home Alone, because there's a reason they stopped making those movies, and there's a reason there's no place for it, and that movie sounds tone deaf. Like, if it's sometimes serious, sometimes funny, it doesn't seem to have a place, and without knowing where she stands, the only one of these that I could see actually selling and being interested and being better than the movie with Halle Berry coming out this weekend is Tom Hardy.
And Spencer, give me one last just take on Tremblay and why you think it's going to overcome the negative points that these guys have brought up.
Well, I think that there's moments of humor in all of these movies. Even John Wick, there's like moments where you go, haha, all right, cool. But this is a throwback action movie, and it's also a twist on it where you don't expect. You're not getting Tom Hardy, a gruff guy, looking out for revenge. You say it's like a new twist on the 80s and he's elevating the material. It sounds like every other revenge movie. And you're pitching Linda Hamilton, and you even called her Sarah Connor in your description of it. She's always going to be compared and fall short of that iconic role. Tremblay, he's young. It's exciting. We are loving to watch children murder people right now. Let's seize the moment and give it to the Tiny Terror.
We're from the headlines. terrifying headlines.
People love seeing kids murdered.
I don't know where I'm going with this.
Challenging.
Lon, how's any fact checks, any corrections to make?
Two fact checks. Tom Hardy not in Interstellar, to the best of my knowledge. And Jacob Tremblay's character does not die in Book of Henry. Mild spoilers, there's another kid who dies in Book of Henry.
Yes.
I don't believe it's the Jacob Tremblay
that's
character.
true.
Oh, like I said.
Yeah, like we're all experts in Book of Henry.
Well, that's why I'm here. YouTube commenters, Twitter are loving the fact that we're in a child murder renaissance right now. Love it. That's the takeaway. There's also a lot of love for Charlie's flamingo shirt. And
I almost didn't wear it.
And some of the other suggestions, Nicolas Cage, probably the number one suggestion. Uma Thurman came up very frequently. Natalie Portman came up a lot. And an odd one, Michael Cera. We got a lot of, why doesn't Michael Cera get his own franchise?
All right.
I'm going to get you.
Well, here's how I see it. Charlie, I think you got knocked out, not only because the main thing was that in your argument, it just felt like you just wanted 1992 Linda Hamilton back, and you kept just kind of referring to, like, we've seen Terminator, and we've seen Beauty, you even referenced Beauty and the Beast, and I just didn't hear enough about why right now she would be the best choice out of the three. So I had to knock Linda Hamilton out, which took me between Coy and Spencer, and Spencer, when you answered, I was like, God, that's a joke answer, and I'm still not sure if it really is. My problem is Spencer particularly brought up this point of, like, Coy, you didn't really sell me about Tom Hardy. Like, why would him doing this transcend what we've seen already? And I think Spencer kind of hammered you on that, and you didn't really sell me on why Tom Hardy's particularly would be any different or any better. So strangely, even though I thought this was the one that was going to go out when we started, Spencer sold me the most on why Jacob Tremblay's would be the most interesting, and creativity counts. So Spencer, I'm giving you the point.
Thank you. Thank you.
Spencer
Tiny
gets the
Terror.
first point.
Child murder renaissance.
It's time. It's topical.
Quickly about polls.
Yes.
I have 2 polls. So if you're in YouTube and you want to vote, you've got to refresh the video, and then you've got to turn off annotations and turn them back on. Or either
Super
or.
simple.
Do one of those 2 things.
Easier.
There are people voting right now. 51% of the YouTube viewers went with Tom Hardy. 34% for Jacob Tremblay. Only 13% for Linda Hamilton. Although they should watch
She'll
T2
get a
again.
role one day.
I agree with you, Charlie, that there is a systemic problem in Hollywood, particularly that
Hate to go political on it, but
Yeah,
She's
no,
got that
it's-
James Cameron settlement money. She's fine. She doesn't need to do
we
it.
need to
good
talk.
for
We
me.
need to talk about Jacob though.
All right, let's move on to round 2. We're starting to hear more and more about the next James Bond movie, Bond 25, right, Lon? Bond, the 25th
It'll be
Bond
the
movie.
25th Bond, yeah.
We're getting reports that Daniel Craig will be back, but it's not confirmed that he's going to definitely be back. But the one thing
Yeah.
that we can talk about is the title. There's been speculation that it's going to be called Shatterhand, which as a Bond fan, I'm not so sure about. That's a weird name.
Yeah.
But
Try singing that.
exactly. Good luck winning an Oscar for that one.
Sorry, Adele.
But one thing we can ask, I wanted you guys to pitch me a title for the next James Bond film that would be the 25th Bond film, and why do you think it should be called that? Charlie, I'm going to start with you on this round. Next Bond movie, what do you think the title should be?
Next Bond movie. So other than, say, Doctor Who, there's been no long-running, most archetypal British character than James Bond. So I want to bring it to a very British angle, but also a reflection on where we've been. We're 25 years. So we have a lot of reflection to do about this character and also where England is right now, because England's in a very precarious, interesting place, whether believe Brexit was good or not. So I feel the movie should be called The Sun Never Sets. And if you don't know what that means, it's the sun never sets on the British Empire, meaning that there's so much to the Empire Britain that they sort of gobbled up all these countries that the sun literally will never set because it's always up in one of their territories, countries, and places. So with Bond, the sun will never set on this franchise, this character, because it is an iconic character, a very iconic British character that will go on for the ages. So when I want to see a next Bond film, I want to see the energy of that. I want to look to the past while looking to the future of the franchise. I deeply hope it's not Daniel Craig because he's totally dead behind the eyes. I want to see a new Bond, maybe Idris, I don't know. I want to see someone who really delights in it because right now the Kingsman is bringing all the fun to the British spy movie. I want to see that back to Bond.
All right, the
Sun Never Sets.
Sun Never Sets on James Bond. Spencer, what was your choice?
I wanted to kind of tie it in with previous James Bonds, which is something that they don't usually do, but we've been getting a different kind of Bond out of Craig. These movies have been very connected from one to the other. So I want to call mine Downfall, in reference to Skyfall, in that this is, I think we can say, Daniel Craig's last one. Is that correct? That he'd only signed on for one more,
this
right?
is barely his last one.
They
If it is
dragged
his
him back
last
kicking
one.
and screaming.
Yeah.
And we need reassurance that this is the last one. We need to know that this is it for Daniel Craig. That's this thing that began Casino Royale and then Quantum of Solace, whatever. But like Skyfall, Spectre, Downfall. We need something that tells us there's going to be some sense of finality to this arc, because they've actually been doing like a long-term multiple movie arc with this James Bond. We need some closure on it.
All right, Downfall from Spencer. Coy, what is your...
I tied mine into the anniversary concept. It's the 25th one. I want my title to feel like that's importance. Like, I love anniversary. I love 25th. I love 50. I love those things. They feel right. And I wanted to tie into not only the idea that you have where it ties into where he is and it tying into the same franchise, and I'm going with the Daniel Craig idea, but also the idea that it's eternal and that it's something that lasts forever. So I went with Too Young to Die, which also has a flavor of only the good die young. It's got a flavor of like where the mysticism of Bond was when we started with Spectre, where all the flavor of the Bond is, and the last two movies were all about how old Daniel Craig was. Like, he's got like this thing where he's like, I can't be Bond. It was weird because they gave him an origin movie where he was already saying he was too old. So we keep going through this iteration of Daniel Craig where he keeps like adjusting but he's getting harder. Like, he's having trouble doing it. So I love the idea that we settle in. It's also Daniel Craig's last movie where Too Young to Die is where it wraps up. It's got that interesting, like Quantum of Solace, you wondered what it was. Spectre, you wonder what it was. I like the title having some inquisitiveness to it, and I feel like this is a good closure for Daniel Craig's Bond.
All right, so we have Too Young to Die, The Sun Never Sets, and Downfall. What do you guys think?
Too young. He's not too young.
That's the
he's
play on it.
He's quite, but it's not a play on anything because he doesn't reflect that. He is an older man and he's at the end of his career as Bond. If this is a Daniel Craig movie, so Too Young to Die seems meaningless to me.
I know it's on my brain right now, but it makes me think of child murder.
This is the thread.
That's the subplot.
Too young to die.
Jacob Tremblay's in
Who's
there.
the young
We're
person that's
killing
gonna
him.
die?
It's going to be really bad.
Yeah, it's not
it
that crazy.
Billy
Like you said,
Joel?
it's cool because James Bond titles are cool because they make you wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And Downfall to me makes me wonder, oh, is he going to die? Is this going to be the last James Bond? We all know it's not, but at least it raises questions like that in your head. Yours, look, me did not know what you were talking about with The Sun Never Sets on the British Empire. People are going to have to look that up because when I hear it, I think like it's an Enrique Iglesias song. Like it sounds like something that somebody would have on a t-shirt
It's a throwback to all the Bond
as your
movies,
grandma.
His Majesty's Secret Service, on His Majesty, and other sort of very emblematic British things.
It
British
sounds
people
like
know
a
this.
Nicholas Sparks novel. The Sun Never Sets.
Yes,
It's like a
they're
Fabio
epic
cover.
titles for Worthy of Blonde. With Downfall, I really like where your head's at. I like that it's a continuation of things. But Skyfall's in the middle of Craig's franchise.
But that was
If
the
you
most
wanna go-
personal Bond.
If you want to go
Skyfall
back,
was about where he comes from and his
Casino Royale was
childhood
the
home.
best of all of them, and it started you with Vesper Lynd. It started you with how this Bond reacted to the rest of the franchise going out. So if you want to start, you start with Casino Royale. Maybe The House Wins would be a better
Can I fact
idea
check
as a
myself?
title.
So I actually emailed I said the wrong thing just now, but you can check my email. My actual title is Too Old to Die Young.
That's an Austin Powers
right.
movie.
But that would be
Too old to die young.
Too old to die. So my actual,
Is it?
yeah, you can check the email. I said it wrong.
No, it's not literally, but it sounds like an Austin Powers
Too
movie.
Old to Die Young.
Too
was my,
Old to Die Young.
I meant to say that
I mean,
instead of Too Young to Die. So
he is-
I
he's
said
a
my thing
fabulous-
You don't
wrong.
want to like
He's a
hang a lantern on how old he is.
No, but that's what I want. I want it to be. So my plot was. So I'm sorry for the first 10 seconds of this.
Pretty old
I
man
literally.
Craig.
My
I would
title
watch
is
a senior citizen,
actually
James
Too Old to-
Bond.
Well, Sean Connery did like 2 movies where he
Yeah.
was way too old. So Too Old to Die Young. The idea is that he's going into more of an M-like state. He's actually turning into like he's actually getting the responsibility. He's realizing
He's
the things
becoming
done.
Judi Dench.
He needs to. No, but he's realizing the ramification of his actions. It's a Bond that takes accountability. In the thing that made the first.
I just like wheeling in the walker trying to follow
He's
the
so
gun.
lucky to be Judi
The
Dench,
thing,
though.
right? Dame Judi Dench. So the thing that made the first movie so interesting is that he was a Bond that was kind of accountable. The second movie, when they introduced Raffine's, they made him accountable. There's always that thing where Bond doesn't actually take
It's
account of his
goofy though.
actions.
Too Old to Die
Too-
Young is
too old-
a
'cause
goofy
it's-
title.
That's like a Florida t-shirt.
Too Old to
for
Die
grandma.
Young. It's a play on Only the Good Die Young,
It's
and
a
he's not
carrot head.
good.
He's got like margarita.
But like it has an interesting. For me, it still has the inquisitiveness. It's a play on Only
It's
the
just
Good
not
Die Young.
cool.
But it's
Good
it's
point.
not-
It's not cool.
Yeah.
Bond has to be cool
But his
and too
downfall-
old to die young.
Downfall sounds like a Hoobastank album.
and
And there's nothing
System
cool
of
about
Downfall.
There's nothing cool about 90s new metal now, and that doesn't work for me.
It'll be
Downfall-
cool again.
When you see James Bond
The stank
Downfall,
never dies, Coy.
It's also it's a deeply negative space to take the last potential Craig
Yeah,
film.
you go in saying we
So,
failed, and look
it's-
at the downfall of us.
It's the downfall of what it is. Whereas I want to see The Sun Never Sets. That's an optimistic glance at the future of the franchise. Whether you have Daniel Craig going
I
off into the
disagree, 'cause-
sunset, or you have a new Bond taking up the reins and showing you what the franchise is going
I
to look
think
like.
we're all
Hopefully more
already
optimistic
bummed
and
out
fun.
in what we've said that Daniel Craig is coming back. Downfall at least gives
He's
me
bummed
hope
more
that
than all
he's
of
going
us.
to be killed off, that this will be the end.
So as much as mine might sound like an Austin Powers title, The Sun Never Sets exactly sounds like Tomorrow Never Dies. And Tomorrow Never Dies is the worst James Bond movie. Like one of the
It
worst
doesn't
James
sound anything like
The
that.
Sun Never Sets, Tomorrow Never Dies. It literally sounds like an attenuation of eternity, which is what the James Bond movies feel like right now.
But it's not just an eternity. Even if I were to extend that, it's about Britain. It's about England. It's about
In the colonial
It's about-
era,
I-
like in the
but that's-
1700s.
That's their past. Just like Bond has a past that people are fairly, iffy about because of like how he treats women. But I'm not getting into that. That doesn't really matter because what I'm talking about is the future of where Bond's going and where England's going, and this is the movie that can reflect that. I think England
So
deserves
you name
this
it
sort of
after
movie.
ancient history?
No, you name it in a reflection of the past that looks towards the future because it's a deeply optimistic phrase and it's a journey.
That the sun never
phrase.
sets on the British
That's-
Empire
but
is
the
sun
deeply
never sets-
optimistic.
the franchise
It
isn't that
is.
optimistic anymore. The franchise has only
It
gone in a
should
direction
be.
that
Kingsman
feels...
has shown you that it's more fun
But
if
that's
it's
a different
optimistic.
franchise.
But
It's like
that's-
when everything tried to go
But
Jim
it
Bourne.
wasn't how it started. Roger Moore was a more fun Bond. We have tons of fun Bonds.
Right.
I think we're time. We've already had the dark and gritty. We're done with that. Daniel Craig did a bang up job.
Yeah.
Now we go back to fun.
But right
But it
now
just
is the
doesn't-
time-
that
Charlie,
doesn't
I like
fit
that.
Daniel
I think
Craig's
that's a good closing for yours.
Bond.
Yes, no. I just want to yeah, this is one that I want to get through just because I think we got some other great fights. So I want to get to this. I think that's a great closing statement, Spencer. I want to hear your why Downfall and why not these two.
Okay, yeah, Downfall. We want some finality. I think it fits with the rest of the Daniel Craig movies in that there has been way more continuation from movie to movie than we've gotten with Connery's Bond or more Bond. So why not have continuation in the titles or play with the titles that have come before? Okay. It also lets you know that it's over. The sun never sets. Sounds like a Fabio cover book in a supermarket. And it also sounds too sunny for Bond. The sun is never up on Daniel Craig's James Bond.
All right. And Coy.
For me, now that I have my own title right, Too Old to Die Young not only makes you wonder what the movie's about, it gives you a sense of finality. It gives me all the things that I get from what you guys are saying. It gives me finality to Bond without saying it's a 90s Hoobastank album. It gives me a interesting phrase that makes you want to play with it. I can see it on the poster. But at the same time, when I think The Sun Never Sets, I agree. We're living in a John Wick, Jason Bourne era. That's where the Bond is right now. Like, Kingsman is that for a reason. It's separate. If James Bond suddenly went Kingsman, it would feel like they were copying Kingsman, and that franchise is way too, important to feel like a copycat. And Downfall, if I see that on a poster, that sounds like a Rotten Tomatoes buzzword for how bad the movie is. So neither of these titles inspire me to see it, whereas Too Old to Die Young makes me wonder, makes me feel like it's part of a franchise, and it describes the arc of where Daniel Craig Bond is going and has been.
All right, there we go. Juan, any fact-checking to be done?
Not any fact-checking. A lot of people did point out that The Sun Never Sets was used by a lot of empires to express that they're so vast that they're all around the world. So it's not necessarily just British, although The Sun Never Sets on the British Empire was a common expression. And we got a lot of clever, I thought, suggested titles. Shaken Not Stirred, Atomic Bond, 007 in New York, Gold Bond, Bond versus Bourne, and 00 Nothing.
Wow, that's saucy. I'm not gonna lie, this was a fairly easy decision for me. I think Coy, even once you got the title right, I think they kind of got you on the. It does sound too old. It seems like a downer already. You're describing the franchise negatively already. Spencer. Between that and The Sun Never Sets, I think that again, they kind of hit you a little bit on it seems like you're already describing the failure. You even said oh, we're getting ahead of the bad reviews. So I actually like Charlie's take on it. I know that you said that Daniel Craig it's not optimistic, but Charlie said in an argument that it wasn't going to be Daniel Craig, which I can allow. And also, I think it's just the way that it ties in with the British Empire, with the anniversary. I think that it was the best pitch for why it tied in with James Bond specifically. So I'm going to go with Charlie. Charlie gets the point in round 2. I will say, Spencer, and I'm shocked that nobody brings it up, that I would have not chosen Downfall because all you would get is Hitler memes if you search that on YouTube, because that's the movie that the Hitler scene comes from. That Hitler reacts to whatever comes out. Yeah, so that's also Downfall.
Bond Hitler film.
But it doesn't matter. So Charlie gets the point. Charlie and Spencer, you're tied at 1, but we're only in round 3. The trailer for Ready Player One came out at Comic-Con. A lot of people, I liked it. It's kind of got a lot of people buzzing. If you don't know, Ready Player One, it takes place in this thing called the Oasis, and it's basically, it's not really a game, but you have your avatar and you can upgrade. So we thought, if Ready Player One was real, what movie character would you want to use as your avatar? So this is the character that you are playing as in the game/Oasis world. This is the person you would want to represent you. You're controlling them. Spencer, we're going to start with you. Who would be your avatar in the Oasis?
I'm going to go with a personal favorite of mine, Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg. Gary Oldman from The Fifth Element. I'd love if they could bring a picture up so we could see his sweet plastic comb over and his sweet soul patch and his awesome clothes. I just think he's cool. It's Gary Oldman right off the bat, so you sound and look like Gary Oldman. You got that kind of swagger to you. He's rich. He's the head of a giant conglomerate, and as we've seen from the books or whatever, the Oasis is not a classless society. There are definite haves and have-nots. Like the hero can't even get off his free-to-play school island until he does some stuff. He's got the ZF-1. The gun from The Fifth Element, which is the coolest movie gun of all time. It's got the replay system, it's got the flamethrower, it's got the rocket launcher, it's got the ice cube system, the patented ice cube system, the net, it's got the little red button on it. It's awesome. He's got one of those. And he's a deep nerd reference. He's not like an obvious, I'm going to be Frodo or I'm going to be Luke Skywalker. Because Ready Player One is all about what are the cool nerd references that not everyone would realize, but someone would be like, oh, you're Zorg from The Fifth Element. That's cool.
All right. So Zorg from The Fifth Element. Coy, who would you pick as your avatar?
I chose a character that can fly, that is hard to defeat, that is constantly seeking riches and gold, that would probably be pretty good at finding a key, I chose a defender of treasure, Smaug. This man, this dragon, is not only so intense that it would be a very automatic defensive move, but his offense is insane and he can get around. Like, one of the biggest problems in Ready Player One is getting around because it costs money, it has all these. This dude can fly and he's that big, plus it's an 80s reference, and that to me was really important because a lot of the heart of Ready Player One was that it was set in the 80s, it felt like a Stephen King like flavor, it had that Stranger Thingsness, and that was really important because before Peter Jackson decided to sleep and let someone else direct the Hobbit films, this was a character that was important to the 80s and we didn't have a negative yet. So I would love the idea of redeeming Smaug and making it the nerd glory that saying Smaug makes us all feel, and this character would be the best at all the tasks, and that's vital. So not only is it a reference, not only is it 80s, but it's actually a good offensive and defensive move. Smaug.
All right, Charlie.
Smaug.
If you talk about class systems, if you talk about who's like a leader of the 80s, when I think about all these things put together, as well as a personal holy figure of mine, I think of Jareth, the Goblin King from Labyrinth. I think of Bowie himself leading the people through his bulge first. Not only would he be an oasis, and people want him to be any party you throw, anywhere he wants to go, that door would go wide open. But he's also king of labyrinths. So if you're looking for a key, you want someone who understands a puzzle, who understands labyrinths. And that's what Jareth is all about. Also, to talk about Smaug being an 80s reference, the cartoon's great, but no one thinks of Smaug as an 80s reference. They think of Labyrinth as an 80s movie, and mine is the only character that really is thought of as an 80s character. Who wouldn't want to see Jareth roll up in his power metal hairband haircut and make the party that much better?
All right, this is my favorite showdown ever. Smaug versus Jareth the Goblin King versus Zorg from the Fifth Element. Fight it out.
Smaug is tough. It's tough to be Smaug, I would imagine.
You're like being Iron Giant.
You
It's a lonely
can't
life.
go indoors.
You don't need to.
You can't drive.
You don't need to. You can fly.
If your voice is the same as, I assume, Bandit Cumberbatch, right? You have the Smaug voice.
Yeah, or the awesome voice in the animated series. Either one.
It's really hard to carry on a conversation as
You don't need
Smaug.
to. You're a dragon.
He's
Why do you need to
also-
carry on
We
conversation?
should go over.
He's also essentially blind. You're essentially blind, so that's going to be really hard to play the game. You've got good senses.
But to me, this yours is the best for parties and yours is the best for coolness. This
Yeah,
is
and
yours
yours is the biggest
worst of
target.
both.
Congratulations.
But I'm not trying to be at a party or to be cool. I'm trying to win the competition of finding these things,
Finding
getting
stuff.
around,
But
doing
you would
things.
find stuff and then hoard over it.
Yeah, what if it's
That's
like
how you keep everything. That's how you play the game. You
But you
keep the
wouldn't-
stuff.
How can you find something with little dragon hands?
He
What
doesn't
if it's
have little hands.
behind something?
He's got plenty. He's not a T-Rex. It's not a T-Rex. It's a
They're not
dragon.
good for like
He
precision.
can move all the things he needs to.
But
We
we-
never
Ron,
saw
Ron,
him
can you
fumble.
please get me pictures of Smaug's hands or claws?
Look,
But if
take a
you're,
look.
in a,
Thank you.
if you're in a world of nerds, you're gonna know how to defeat Smaug. You're
But
gonna
we
know
don't
that
even
there's
need to
these
know.
little things
These are
underneath
two
this.
humans and a Goblin King. These are things that are easily defeated. The bulge on the dragon is
Goblin
much
King,
bigger than the
Goblin
bulge
King,
on a Goblin King.
I would argue, has never been defeated. He let Sarah think that she won because you see him at the end of the movie and he flies away and he got exactly
Yeah,
what he
his
wanted.
labyrinth does get solved by a teenage babysitter.
Very
She
quickly.
does pass
Very
through it
quickly.
pretty damn quick.
Those
He
look
wanted-
very usable.
He intended her
very
to solve
usable.
it. I know this is not exactly.
This is my favorite round ever.
To me, that's-
Exhibit A, these are the talons of
You
Smaug.
can't drive with claws like
you
that.
don't need to drive. You can fly. And why would you be a human when you
Because
can be
they
a
hide
dragon?
keys behind behind a retro video arcade cabinet. The keys are like in very specific, tough to get
So
around
you
places.
make someone do that for you. I can
But
crush
that's
both
so
of you in a
lonely.
move. I
You're
don't
a
need
lonely
to.
Smaug.
I win. It's about winning, not about
But
team.
it's also Oasis where you want to be amongst people. You won't be amongst people.
And
But I'm
look,
an
this will
avatar, I'm
happen
trying to
because
succeed.
it's the internet. This will happen to all of us. But Jareth is just going to be bombarded by weird sex stuff the
All the
entire
time.
time.
Okay,
It'll be like.
great.
But he won't get anything done.
For my brief 5 minutes on
He
that
can do
on Second
everything.
Life, people are going to try to F you no matter where you
Constantly.
go. And if you dress like Jareth,
I'm not seeing the downside.
I-
You're telling me that's the downside.
He's the
you're
party
supposed to be
victim.
looking for keys or fighting or having fun, and you're going to be like, dance, magic dance. Like, you're
All the
gonna
way
be-
to the top,
It's going to be
baby.
music numbers and orgies. It's just going to be
Whereas Zorg,
distracting.
He's gonna look fabulous in Gautier because that's a fashion icon. icon, but what is he really going to do? He also lost. He also
Very
was a
quickly.
loser.
And the gun didn't do much
gun
when it was
didn't do
actually
much.
utilized. What's
Sure
that gun?
did. He almost killed the fifth element, the supreme being.
But he did it.
Chris Tucker helped take him out. What does Chris...
No, they never in a scene at the same time.
But yeah, but he was part of the downfall of this character. This is a movie where
Love was the downfall of that
Yes,
character, and love will prevent him from being Ready
Again,
Player
this is just an
One's
avatar.
puzzle.
This is just who I would be. This isn't like we're not actually being the character
And you
making the
chose
same
kind of a
decisions.
weenie.
We're choosing someone
not
with
even
options.
threatening.
And his money won't translate. You said the class system. Because you play a rich character doesn't mean you're suddenly rich. And if that was the case, I have all the gold in Middle Earth.
And nobody likes him. That movie is
You can't have it
surrounded
both
by...
ways, Coy.
I'm saying if that's one of the rules. If the rule is no money, then he has no money. If the movie is
If the
money,
rule's no
I
money, you have no
He
money,
is
and you're
your-
still a dragon.
He is
the
your
best.
avatar, so you do not have Smaug's money.
Right,
You
so-
are
so-
playing as Smaug.
Well, then I have the business acumen to start, because that carries
Does
with
his
you.
brain translate this? I'm now suddenly as smart as a guy with a gun in a movie with a bad haircut. Like, Smaug is the only one that can actually play offensively, like amongst these two.
He
He
doesn't
can
want
dance.
to play. He wants to be back in his cave over his gold.
He wants to win.
He wants to be alone. The entire point of Smaug is he wants to be alone in his
And
cave
win.
over
Keep
his
in mind,
gold.
the Smaug is your avatar.
Right, so
Yeah.
I'm
Smaug is your
embodying
avatar.
the character that wants to go forward and succeed with all the power
Also,
of a
there are
dragon.
so many dragon avatars that can be running around Ready Player One.
no one's better than
No
Smaug.
one is Jared. Only one Goblin King.
Right, so you can be crushed easily by all the dragons.
No, he's a king.
I'm
He's
choo-
Bowie. Even
I would
Bowie
rather
himself
be
would
David Bowie.
crushed.
Jareth is so much worse than David Bowie.
Yeah, David
He's
Bowie
just
would go.
coasting off of David Bowie's greatness. All Jareth does is
It's
fondle orbs and dance with
strut
babies.
about.
We're going
Yeah.
back to weird sex stuff, and it's still a positive.
I would
for
rather
me.
be
All right.
Zoolander's David Bowie than
I'm gonna
be
try
Labyrinth of
to, I'm gonna
Jared.
try to inject some rationality into this debate, damn it.
Please.
Closing arguments. Well, not closing, but I want to hear from you guys. Like, why are you choosing this character as your avatar? I want to hear about the characters in the movies. Of like, this is the character. This is your playable character. Why is yours the best? Charlie, I'll start with you. Why is Jared the best playable character?
He's the best playable character because not only does he look fantastic and have a bulge to die for, his very visage would open up doors on both sides of Ready Player One's like oasis. You've got the side of the being around parties and people and socializing and that aspect, and then you've got the gameplay part of it because he is emblematic of puzzles and labyrinths, and if you can be the puzzle maker or the game master, you can solve a game.
Well, Lon's the game master.
There's only one
Fair
game
point,
master.
yes.
And there's yes, he's
So
king of the
it's-
labyrinth
it's-
and
it's,
goblins.
accessibility is your call. He's a master of many worlds and
Many
domains.
words, many openings.
All right.
Many bulges.
All right, many bulges. I've written bulge down 3 times. In
Bowie does that.
Spencer, Zorg.
Accessibility's fine, but I'd rather have versatility. I'd rather have a guy who is charismatic, but not so charismatic that it'll be diverted into, bulge stuff every 5 seconds. I want a guy who's well equipped. He's got guns. He's got firepower. He's got okay. If he has access to his company or not, that's a moot point. I think that he's a human being with regular human-sized hands that could do human stuff that the game requires without being as awkward and unwieldy as a giant dragon.
All right, and Koi, Smaug.
I feel that the only character that can get around quickly, the only character that has literal firepower, because he's a dragon, and the only character that can intimidate others into doing what he wants is Smaug. You have 2 human characters who literally, like, one of them would be constantly being attempted to be molested, and you wouldn't have the accessibility because the problem, the enemies in that book and show are going to be this diehard government. A government's not going to want a sex god running around. They're going to fight him as much as they can, and a government's also not going to want a tyrant of government and business running around that clearly is insane. That movie, he makes a lot of very irrational choices. They're going to go after an irrational businessman. They're going to go after someone that is a problem with their culture. A dragon's going to be hard to fight no matter how many people you come after him, and I can get around and kill people and convince people to do whatever I need. Mine is the avatar, so the intelligence of me playing the game with all the power of a dragon, I can use the dragon's merits and handle the business.
Koi plus dragon.
Is this the new nerdiest fight ever?
It might
Does
be.
this take the
It
cake?
very well might. It's up there.
Well,
Weirdest cuts.
if you guys wanted to get way more nerdy,
Please, Lon.
a lot of argument, and I haven't read Ready Player One, so help me out here. A lot of people are saying it's just your skin, it's your avatar, so it wouldn't actually be limiting, like you couldn't pick something up if you were Smaug.
It would look
Smaug.
stupid.
It would look stupid. But you
can do it.
But just to make that clear,
Right.
that's what I'm reading a lot of is like you could still do everything, it would just look stupid. Depending on which
component
skin
of
you
the
have.
We
argument.
can't all be
Yes,
Bowie,
exactly.
guys. We can't
Just
all look
wanted to
cool.
make sure.
Except for me, because that's my avatar.
The number one thing that people latch onto in this round was Koi's pronunciation of the term
Smaug.
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 A lot of other a lot of people just didn't really focus on the treasure hunting aspect. Just went with like badass, tough characters.
Right.
So a lot of like Batman, T-1000, Mulan came up a lot. Wolverine, Hellboy, Hermione Granger, The Bride. Those were the sort of answers we were getting in the chat.
Interesting. This is a very difficult choice for me. Lon, what were you thinking? I know that you were deep in the
Yes.
in the fact
Well,
check.
I was really trying to figure out, like, so are you limited by what your character can
Right.
do in the Oasis?
This is debatable, yes.
I would have to say, in terms of the coolness factor, like who I would want to be representing me in this world, it is hard to top Jareth, the Goblin King, and I thought Charlie did a pretty good job. And I'm not dissuaded by everybody in the Oasis wants to have sex with you. Like, isn't that kind of the point?
So who's the coolest character? It's which one gets the job done.
Yeah.
The job done, Coy.
Yeah,
Which
that-
job?
Job
Which job
done.
is the question? Is it the bulge job or finding and winning the
I'll
game?
let you figure that out.
I mean, if it was whose bulge would you want to have, Jareth would win this
Jareth.
round.
Outstanding
easily.
bulge, yeah.
Spencer, I liked your argument about the deep nerd reference, the coming well equipped, and Coy, you brought along the offensive capability and easily able to fly and get around. You all brought different qualities to the table. That's what makes this a very difficult decision. You know, I was off this train early in the fight, but I think the second half of the fight you won me over. I think Coy with Smaug won me over toward the end, and I was off the Smaug train, but I think you won me over
Smaug
just
train.
with the overall use of travel, offensive capabilities. I think that those benefits outweigh the negatives that they brought up, and you guys, I don't think, quite sold me on why yours would be better. So Coy gets the point.
The internet agrees with me. 44% of voters on Twitter went Smaug, and 39% of YouTube viewers went Smaug. Won both polls.
There you go.
At
All
least
right.
10% of my reason of picking Smaug was to hear everybody say
Smaug.
Smaug.
It's fun.
Smaug.
Smaug.
All right, round 4. Oh, I've been waiting for this one. This is so much fun. The Emoji Movie opened last week, guys, and Dunkirk barely beat it. So evil doesn't always win in this world. Sometimes Dunkirk can beat the Emoji Movie. The Emoji Movie is in theaters still, shockingly. A lot of people thought this was the worst. A lot of critics said it was the worst movie in the world. But I will agree with it as maybe one of the worst ideas in the world. However, because this is movie fights and we say no to any kind of barriers that life puts in our way, I wanted you guys to pitch me and the audience at home a worse movie idea than the Emoji Movie. It's a hefty task. So you are in the unenviable position of being first. Coy, pitch us a worse idea than the Emoji Movie.
Lead this train of destruction and sadness. So, in this was tricky because the phrasing is a worse movie, so I didn't know to describe why it was like. So I'm just going to describe a movie that shouldn't exist and probably will because that is the time we live in.
Yeah.
We live in an age of millennials. We live in a time where everyone is judging millennials. We live in a time where millennial memes are as important. We live in a time where everyone's pointing fingers and saying like this generation is bad, this generation is bad, and blaming each other. And my movie involves defeating that gap, ending generational disparity, and solving everything with the power of fidget spinners. Now, the beauty of the fidget spinner is it solves all of your fidgety needs, and it really helps you focus when you're ADD and just a sad, sad millennial. And in my movie, aliens have overcome the planet. They've taken all of our energy sources. They've just taken over, and there's nothing we can do. But the only energy source we have left is young MIT millennials have learned to summon the power of the fidget, and every single kid that has twitchy hands and doesn't know what to do with all that built-up frustration and lack of mortgages uses all of their energy, and the world realizes, hey, millennials aren't so bad. They saved us with fidget spinners.
Okay, so MIT millennials summon the power of fidget spinners. All right,
So ashamed
that
of that
is
coming
a
out of my
truly
brain.
terrible idea. Charlie, do you have a worse one?
I do. I feel like I do. So with the Emoji Movie, it went for big blockbuster popcorn fare for the whole family.
Yes.
I'm going for something that's going to annoy everybody because it's going to be the peek up your butt like art house film. Sorry.
The peek up your butt.
Yeah, peek up your butt.
Jareth is back.
It's my avatar. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if we had this Dogma 95 Lars von Trier type art house movie where all it is, so all the ad campaigns are GIFs. So we see just other movies taking from everyone else's movie, and that's every poster, every ad campaign. It's just 1 second of movement. That's it. But the actual film itself are two men in a stark room at a table arguing whether it is pronounced GIF or GIF. That's the whole movie. That is an hour and a half of someone arguing over GIF versus GIF. Whether it's G for graphic or GIF for peanut butter. That is the whole, there's no real plot. It's just an argument between people. That would be horrendous. That's worse than anything that anyone who has ever put in the Landmark Theater. That's LA thing.
So it is a GIF/GIF movie, but the movie itself is about an argument.
It's going to tear households apart and also be
It's just
dumb.
about the pronunciation
It's
of the
just
word GIF.
two men in a room fighting over the pronunciation.
All right,
Like the internet incarnate.
That does sound like a terrible idea. Spencer, do you have a worse idea than the Emoji
I
Movie?
hope so. I'm going to pitch you guys a movie based on the LaCroix mildly flavored sparkling waters. I don't know if you guys have seen these. Lon likes it. They are sparkling cans of sparkling water. They have big bright colors on them, but they barely taste like anything. And they're getting really popular right now. So I wanted to make a movie that was kind of true to the theme and stuff of LaCroix, which is to be different, but like very mildly different so that barely anyone notices. So it's like a teen ensemble, kind of like a Power Rangers origin story of all these teens going through like really subtle bullshit problems, like the guy who plays Barry, the berry flavor, is like suspended, but like just for one football game, and Lemon like left a mean comment on Facebook on someone's picture, and Lime is like 1/8 Latina and is struggling with it. Like
they're cans.
No, they're teens. They're teens, but they're selected by the Water Force. The Water Force, which is a talking river, imbues them with the power of LaCroix, which is the power to make sparkling water taste like vaguely, subtly flavored sparkling water. This is the magic power that they're given. And their town has a big Perrier factory who does unflavored sparkling water.
Okay.
And there's there's a struggle between their parents who work at the factory and them, and the Perrier is trying to get rid of them, but they end up adding mild flavors to the sparkling water of the town.
Okay. I don't have titles from any of you. So, Croy, what is the title of your millennial fidget spinner movie?
Fidget. Bold, to the point. There's a period on the poster, though. Fidget with a period.
Fidget with a period. Oh, so it's like a command.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
fidget.
that way it's instructing how to save the day. It's a call
Fidget.
out. It's a call
Okay.
out. Fidget.
Great. Okay. Charlie, what what's
It's not even GIF or GIF. It's just the yes, queen, mouth, broad city GIF. That's it. That's the title.
So the
of the
title
movie.
is
a GIF, like
It's
Prince.
just a GIF. It's not
It's
even
the-
yes, queen. It's just the GIF.
It's the Yes Queen
Yes.
GIF/GIF.
That's it.
Okay. Spencer, what's the name of your movie?
Mine is Wet and Mild. Wet and apostrophe mild.
Wet Mild. All right. Interesting. Guys, why are your ideas worse than the
Here's
other
why
ones?
I
yours
would
is not
watch
so
yours.
bad.
It's so
I would watch
funny.
yours.
Whoa,
Yours is like a PSA from the
They're
old.
kids flavoring water.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not
really
visual.
funny.
But
That's
not
not a
jokes.
visual concept.
Not
That's not
only
an
that.
interesting concept. The teens aren't even dealing with real problems.
Just
I
like
want to
real
see
teens.
your Lars von Trier art film
That
about
would
two
do
people
well
arguing.
in
You're a
Sinespia.
masochist. No one else would want to see it.
You say it's about GIF versus GIF, but it can be about so much more under the surface.
But that's
like
what-
saying
that's
like,
what the movie is.
My Dinner with Andre is just about two guys having dinner. No, it's about life. It's about philosophy
It's
and how you
interpretive.
choose to live your life. Whereas GIF and GIF can reveal
You're-
like, are you into the original meaning of God or like the new one? Like it can be this whole battle of philosophies between these two guys in this room.
People-
By Lars von Trier, I check that out.
People would love. He didn't actually direct it. It's just Dogma 95esque.
esque, okay.
Yes. This is why people would love yours, is because people have a really passionate favorite in LaCroix households. They love their coconut. They love their pamplemousse. They have people they want to back.
Do they?
So yes,
It's already
yes,
selling.
They do.
It's already selling. You've already
Yeah, well,
sold the
fidget spinners are
merchandising.
selling too. It doesn't mean it's a good movie.
But mine's
know-
insulting to both adults and children. Like
Yours
mine
has-
literally alienates everyone, and it's embarrassing
No,
on
it
a
doesn't
way.
alienate
doesn't.
children. People love it. You couldn't even stop doing it. It's
Yeah,
like
but
fun to
no,
spin the
this-
thing.
This is fun, but the
I would-
movie
it was
the
fun
movie
just
itself-
watching you do
but
it.
the
I was was entertained.
The fidget spinners are fun, but the movie would literally be like the worst part of Scooby-Doo 2. It would be alienating everyone that loves the actual thing. This would
Like I
alienate
saw
the
Scooby-Doo
kids.
2.
That's my
And
point.
I know it would be
It's
good,
the
and
worst.
you know it would be good because Mike Diva did a fidget spinner movie that was like an anime, and they were fighting with fidget spinners, and that was awesome.
It's
And
as
you know
ironic as
it's
GIF and
awesome.
GIF. It's as ironic
It's not,
as that.
but it's fun.
It's
Irony is
interesting
a
and
good
watching-
premise for a movie.
Like GIF and
Irony,
GIF, I agree that is ironic to
but
have
it's
that
not.
argument
It's
for a
art
thing.
house. It's dour.
Cinespia, video carnage. It would do well in these places. Like that's that kind
It
of.
It is an
would not
interesting,
show
yeah.
up
It's like
for an
Empire
hour
State.
of
It's like an
argument.
interesting theoretical
Except for this.
film to check out of two people arguing
Like,
over the same topic
what
and
that
how you
means to
how you
them and
could
why
stretch that out for an hour and a
GIF
half.
matters.
Serious?
I'm curious.
They don't even come up with an answer at the end of it. You're just left wanting.
So there's no answer.
Have you
There's
seen
no
Enemy with
answer.
Jake Gyllenhaal? It's a movie about Jake Gyllenhaal and a twin that's an actor, and the whole movie he's trying to find this twin, and then
You've
he
got
finds
his
him, and then it
beautiful
goes,
face.
and then it goes to credits.
Yeah, your boy Tom
There's-
Hardy made that movie Lock, where he's just in a car talking to himself
Tom
for
Hardy
an hour
for
and a half.
everything. Yeah, but I'm saying that people will see this
Yeah,
thing because it's
exactly.
interpreted, because it's interesting.
People will not come out to it because it's going to be in art houses and people won't show up for it. They will show up for both these
But I
movies.
think like
People go
these
out
are
and see
big
people will
budget
come to
movies
see it
that
because
are
like I
exciting.
like
They're-
looking at
they're-
GIFs.
Yeah,
GIFs.
there's-
I like looking at
You're
them.
not actually going to see any
You will in the
GIFs
ad
in film.
campaign. You
Yours
said that it's
also-
all going to be 1 second GIFs.
Yours
But
also
that's
costs
not a movie.
$7.
An ad campaign is not a movie. The actual movie itself is bad because it has nothing.
Yes,
It's
keep in
just
mind, you're
an
selling me
argument.
on why yours is the most terrible idea out of these three terrible ideas. Not whether people will see it. Why is it the worst idea?
But I can argue why mine's bad by arguing that theirs are good because the fidget spinners, they're like a worldwide phenomenon. I
it's not
can't
about
stop
the
playing with
item,
one.
it's
You
about-
can't
And
stop
you
playing with
love
one.
them, and it makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah, but it's about the
and
movie being not
comforted.
about the fidget
It's not the
spinner.
worst
it's about
idea
the idea
ever.
of gathering people. It's doing all of the worst parts about teen movies. It's trying to be overbearing in that we need to unite. It's trying to be overbearing in that kids and adults can get along. It's trying to be overbearing in that like we're the next thing. It's literally insulting everyone
But
watching.
you
No,
have a
LaCroix
plot.
is the worst
You have
part.
a plot there.
Yeah, but just because it has a
Something to hold
plot
on
doesn't
to.
mean it's good.
But that at
there's a
least makes
movie.
a movie.
There's a movie featuring La Tremblay that came out that doesn't have that has a plot, but it's not good. Like just have a plot doesn't make it good. This movie is not
But it
fair to
makes
the
it a movie.
audience. It's not fair to the people viewing it, and it's insulting to the product because it makes the product seem like more than it is. The reason fidget spinners are great is because they're so linear. I'm trying to make everything better than it is with this crappy movie
I don't know
and
what
make
you're
people.
talking about.
Yeah,
Mine is
we're-
about a product that people are already annoyed with. I know like hipsters like it, but people in
But they
general
like it
like
a
this
lot.
is stupid. It's overpriced flavored water.
And
Now,
they're coming in with a favorite. They're coming in with like, I want to see Pamplemousse
It gives you
do
teams.
well.
No,
they
It
are-
gives you teams.
And that's what
No,
people love
so
about
that's
movies.
not-
it
that's
gives
not
you
bad.
Silver Lake. It
sounds
doesn't
like
give you
Pokemon.
everybody.
It's like Pokemon for water. You can come in, you have your team, you're driving with this
No,
thing.
but this is
and
a teen movie that
because-
intentionally undercuts drama itself.
Barry
This
sounds
is a
great.
mild, undramatic movie where
like Boy
people
Meets
don't
World.
have
But as
real
long as you
problems.
have
Their
teams-
powers are to make water flavored, like slightly more flavored water.
It's Boy
as
Meets
long-
World. It's the Wonder Years, but with a brand
As
marketing.
long as you
It's
have
already
teams, you
got
have
a market.
interest, you have nuance, you have someone going through a lot of
It's
stuff.
not
You've got
nuanced.
but you have puberty. You have a lot of things they're going
Things
through.
happen that
you
are
made
boring.
them teenagers. If you made them cans of soda, that would be a bad movie. But you made them teenagers, and teenagers inherently have interesting
Teenagers are
problems.
inherently annoying.
They
It's
are
not
right.
interesting.
But they're not bad. This doesn't make a bad movie.
You've all knocked down each other's movies a lot.
We all died inside too.
I need you all to sell me one last time. Why is your idea the worst idea out of these three ideas? Spencer, I'm going to start with you.
Bad plot, low stakes, characters who are intentionally mild. It's visually uninteresting because you're looking at water the whole time. The water doesn't even change color; it's just the flavor, and it's just got a bad message. It's got a bad message of like, it doesn't matter what's on the inside; it's what's on the mildly different about you on the outside that counts. Just taste it. Just taste it. Ugh, it's disgusting.
But that's not even the
It's the
point.
Kroger
It's
brand.
Talking
Our
Rain.
office doesn't have the real thing.
All right. Coy, why is your idea the worst out of these ideas?
You guys described why the item is bad. My movie is bad, which never got touched upon. My movie is Michael Bay meets Roland Emmerich meets disgusting people. There's no, it's all the worst things about Armageddon plus the most annoying characters. It's every character you hate in the movie put in one movie. It's that like sidekick character you can't stand as the main character times a team of them. It's every stereotype for adults and for kids, and it's unwatchable because the dialogue makes you hate both sides of the people. The action isn't interesting. The biggest action set piece is this. The reason this is fun in real life is it gives you something to do. When you watch this in a movie, you're not going to get the release of the fidget. You're just going to experience someone else getting the fidget release.
enjoying
The release of the fidget.
There's nothing in my
Sequel.
movie that's redeeming. There's nothing that allows it to grow. I'd be interested in the PSA aspect. I'd be interested in the art house aspect. Mine is the worst common denominator of films. It's a summer blockbuster without the blockbuster.
All right. And Charlie, why is yours the worst idea?
People love these films. These are so bad, they're good films. They show up, they have a good time, they take some extracurriculars, they have a nice afternoon. My movie, it's a test of endurance to get through. We're talking 3 hours of two men who are not actors sitting across from each other arguing about the pronunciation. They're not deviating from the subject matter. They're not talking about interesting things. They're literally talking about the pronunciation of this word. It is bleak. It is distressing. It is not fun for everybody, and everyone goes home sad. It's a terrible movie.
All right. It's like Transformers 5.
Everyone goes home sad.
Lon, any fact-checking to be done?
Amazingly, not a lot of facts this time. Not a ton of facts came up in this pitch.
What's the overall tone of the internet right now?
Wow, there was a lot of disagreement about which of these movies sounded good. A lot of people were saying there were one of these movies like, I would watch a fidget spinner movie, or like, that LaCroix pitch sounds kind of good to me. Some of these suggestions that came up, Botanicus, Charmin bears wiping their butts, the movie came up a bunch.
Shit bears, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying a Back to the Future remake would be the worst possible pitch. Tetris came up a bunch. Pixar's Toilets was somebody's suggestion.
Oh, wow.
And then Nicolas Cage reading Mein Kampf was a suggestion. And then finally, a lot of surprise that nobody picked that dancing hot dog from Snapchat. There were a ton of people like, where's the dancing hot dog from
Don't even
Snapchat?
know
too
what
fun.
that is.
Yeah, it's still too real.
Yep.
Still too much.
Kids will love it.
Yeah, kids are already buying it. It's already out there.
It's a difficult one for me because I feel like there were worse ideas, and a lot of you guys got kind of caught in the nitty-gritty of what you were, I feel like we could have gotten worse. However, given what we had, I Charlie, yours, and I think they kind of said it's like maybe people wouldn't go see it, but it holds a weird kind of fascination to me.
I was kind of thinking, depending on the style, it could be sort of interesting in a weird way.
In a weird way, the Dogma 95 thing sells me more. So I can't really say it's the worst idea because it kind of intrigues me. So it's between Coy and Spencer, and Coy, you certainly were the most vocal about selling it, but I kind of got lost with the whole Michael Bay meets Roland Emmerich. Your description of the movie itself didn't really sell to me why it was that bad, other than the plot, which is the millennials and the power of fidget spinners. Even the name, I could kind of see that happening. So, Spencer, your closing argument was strong. Bad plot, low stakes, visually uninteresting, bad message. They're literally turning water into less flavorful water. I think it was the combination of poor idea and poor execution that we were looking for in this round. So, Spencer, I'm going to give you the point. Spencer gets the point in round
My face
4.
is still screwed up from the one sip I took.
Just awful.
All right, round 5. Spencer,
They will
you-
probably not sponsor movie fights.
No, I don't think they will.
Aqua.
Not anymore.
You have secured your spot in the speed round. Coy
right.
and Charlie, you could get a spot, or Spencer could run up the score, and we'll have to go to a tiebreaker between you two. It depends on this question. Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later. It comes out, I think, at midnight tonight on Netflix. It's set 10 years after the Red Hot American Summer. Of course, they did one that was 10 years, or the day before. But we wanted to ask, what movie would you like to see a 10 years later TV series about? So it can be Netflix, it can be HBO, it can be whatever you like, but it's set 10 years later. What movie do you think would have the best adaptation to that format? And Charlie, I'm going to start with you.
So I think, like a lot of people here, have a problem with sequels a lot of the time. They've got to earn being a sequel. They've got to earn being a TV show. What do I want to see from these characters that I haven't seen yet? What can we learn about them and who they are at this point in their lives? So 10 years is a big leap in time, and I want someone young, someone who had a lot of feelings in a specific time in their life, and now 10 years later, who are they now? What are they feeling? And when you hear feelings, you hear Inside Out. I want to know what that girl is going through at 21. She went from 11 to 21, and that's a whole new ballgame. She's exiting college. She's entering the workforce. What does that mean? What does that mean for romance? What does that mean for dealing with her parents and who they are now? Are they retiring at this point? Are they coming into a new phase of their lives themselves? They can meet at that point. I just feel like 21 is that kind of age where you're still pretty young and you're soft in a lot of ways, but you're about to enter a big world. And I would love to see that over a series and see what that arc looks like on television.
All right, Inside Out, 21 years old. Spencer, what was your choice?
I'm going to go with The Big Lebowski. And I think that people kind of confuse what makes a great movie and what makes a great TV show. I think with film, you want to see character growth and you want to see change. With TV, you just want to hang out with your favorite characters week to week. You're literally inviting people into your home to have a good time. And who doesn't want to spend more time with the dude, with Walter, with the Jesus, with Nihilus, and Donnie's ghost, who only Walter sees. This is how I'm bringing back the Big Lebowski.
Does Buscemi come back?
As the ghost,
as the ghost of
that
Donnie.
only Walter can see.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, the Big Lebowski 10 years later, and Coy.
I am fighting for something near and dear to my heart. I'm fighting for a franchise that needs to be saved. I'm fighting for something that should be on TV instead of a movie. I am fighting, of course, for the X-Men. In the beginning, the X-Men was the first franchise that really kicked things off along with Spider-Man, but X-Men is extremely important for where superheroes are now. But if you go back and watch the X-Men, it is a mutant movie. It's not an X-Men movie. The beautiful thing about TV is it gives you time to invest in multiple characters. It gives you time to care about different character arcs. It gives you time to really see what each person's going through and to be a part of their life. X-Men's a team. 2 hours is not enough to invest in a team. 2 hours is not enough to introduce Sophie Turner and already have her phoenixing. 2 hours is not enough to have Famke Janssen go Phoenix and then disappear in the water and then come back in the third one with a different director. That franchise has been abused, and it had to because it got us to where we are in this glorious age of superhero movies. But if we had a TV series that was an actual X-Men TV series, not The Gifted, which features such D-list X-Men as Blink and people that don't matter to the people that want to see this, we could actually have a continuation of the X-Men, and it belongs on a TV medium, and it's where it should have started, but we weren't there yet. So not only is it important for the franchise, it's important for the state of superheroes, so we don't have the bubble burst that's inevitable if we don't move things in the right direction. So
X-Men, Inside Out, and Big Lebowski, guys.
So I believe in your passion that there should be an X-Men, but I don't know which X-Men. Which X-Men are we
X-Men
going?
1. X-Men, that's
And
the
you're
very
doing the 10 years later jump, which has worked out so well for the X-Men movies
Well,
so
you have
far.
them as professors, and then you introduce students that actually matter. You can have an almost Generation X flavor by having you already care about the professors because we've met them, we've lived with them, we know them. So you already have a beautiful Harry Potter-esque world where the professors are interesting, and now the new students are interesting, and you get to meet and live with them.
I don't
at
even
that
like
age.
half the cast of the original X-Men movie. Hugh Jackman, if you can get him to do a weekly TV show, good luck. But if you bring back Halle Berry's Storm, and
That's
you
why
bring
they're
back
teachers.
Toad,
I mean,
That's
you're
why
one
they're
to
like
top.
that.
You're not going to get Julianne Moore, Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, and
There's no way.
they
Buscemi
wouldn't
to
fact check
all
that.
do that.
Jeff Bridges is open to it. He's open to
I'm
doing
talking
it.
about
Jeff
Not a
Bridges
TV
is.
show, but a sequel.
the entirety of your cast, and also 10 years later, why?
He's in the same
you
spot.
You want to know? You want to
You
know
know
what's
that
going
they're
on.
not going to change. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The difference between TV and film is that you don't want these characters that you love to be different from the characters that you love. You want to hang out with these people that you've already gotten to know and see how they react to a
Disagree.
different challenge week to week.
Fargo is
It's like
successful.
Jerry
Another-
Seinfeld's Jerry Seinfeld every week.
I would never mess
Bart
with the Big
Simpson's Bart
Lebowski.
Simpson every week. The dude is going to be the dude every week, and he's going to get in some confusion, even if it's just going to an Apple store or going bowling. It doesn't need to be a big high concept show. It's just the misadventures of this group of friends that you love hanging out
But
with.
the beautiful thing about The Big Lebowski is it's Buddhist, it's Zen, it's lean, it's crisp, it has a beautiful arc where you're invested in the beautiful simplicity of the dude. If you try to stretch that out beyond 2 hours, you're going to lose the simplicity, you're going to lose the beauty of the dude.
And what bums me out is it's not. You have this perfect film.
You don't
so
touch
if you
that.
bring it to TV, it's going to lose that magic.
Oh.
If you were talking
Talk
anthology,
about ruining something.
If you
You
were talking
are
about
going to take Inside Out and drag it
you
to the
have
weirdest
10
possible place.
Years. You have 21 years old. That's
But what-
the kids would have aged
I know
up by
adults
then.
watch Pixar movies,
So-
but that 10 years from now is a big jump for
It's a
kids who
big
saw
jump.
Inside Out to then go to I'm a 21-year-old
15
girl
watching
and
21-year-old
I'm
and,
going to the club, I'm getting hammered, and I'm having
I don't need to see what horny
my
looks
seventh
like.
boyfriend at
What
this
is the
point.
horny emoji?
Kids are
What
going
is
to PG-13 movies. They're watching Netflix of all ranges. That's not an argument against.
Ugh, God, can I get rid of this?
You're still using that 10 years to its best capabilities. What does that 10 years mean? That's 10 years from a character we met at 11 and now she's 21. That's a jump that you'd want to see play out and how that would be on an episodic
You
basis.
cannot do that
With the
22
Big
minutes at a
Lebowski,
time,
Yeah, I
though.
can't
you
fathom
absolutely
investing in
can
these
do.
characters every week.
That's of course you would
But
because it's so.
the animation would be cheaper because if it's on TV. Pixar wouldn't be able to keep up the workload. Pixar makes a movie every 5 years for a reason.
Yeah, even if it
will-
looks crappy,
Beg-
just from a story standpoint, and I would not want to watch a crappy-looking X-Men TV show.
X-Men is with
Which
Fox,
they-
so it's already got a budget, it's already got a house, it should be able to have the money for
It's
it.
gonna look.
Gifted-
Marvel has
Gifted
Agents of
doesn't look
Shield. It
great.
still looks like crap compared
But
to the
what
movies.
you have in the mansion is where it'd be set. It'd be a school show, so it'd be a lot
God.
more. No, You get to care about the characters.
That,
just
happened.
ruined it,
That was a
Chloe.
90s show, and it didn't do very well.
The 90s X-Men show did extremely well.
No, it didn't.
The animated
no,
series.
not the animated series.
Okay.
Which is,
Whoa.
Yeah, the
oh,
animated
Hannah, I
series-
love it. No, I'm talking about the live-action miniseries that they tried to make into a show.
Because they didn't have the budget then, because
They
they
don't
didn't
have the
look...
budget now. Look at Inhumans. That looks terrible.
That's not
Chloe,
Fox.
you're getting spoiled. We get an X-Men movie every single year.
But they're
and
not good because they're not
Logan's
investing
amazing.
in the characters.
Deadpool's amazing.
Those are Fox movies.
tangential.
Those aren't X-Men movies.
We're
We don't
burnt out.
invest in the characters.
Oh, Logan's not an X-Men movie. You're really gonna
It's
die
not.
on that
It's-
hill?
I don't think
it's got
it is.
Wolverine in it.
Yeah, but Wolverine isn't even Wolverine.
Professor X in
He's
it.
Logan in it. And these characters need the time to invest. The reason Logan was good, we'll use that example, is because you have the time to invest in two characters. With the show, you can invest in two characters at a time. You have the time to stretch it out. With Inside Out, the budget wouldn't allow for animation to look anything good.
Untrue. If you've seen any Netflix show going on right now,
let's
like Troll Hunter, the animation is
let's
fantastic.
imagine budget's
That's
not
not
an
an
issue then.
argument
So-
against. But with something like X-Men, we're burnt out from X-Men. What does 10 years do for
It
X-Men?
gives us the students as
It's
professors
nothing
and
new.
gives us new
then
students.
It's just an X-Men show.
But
The 10 years don't make any sort
the
of
beautiful
difference.
thing about X-Men is every character makes you feel welcome. The X-Men, the point of X-Men is so you can understand what an outsider feels like. That sounds like TV
you
to
pitched
me.
me on a great X-Men show, but what does the 10 years have
Because
to do with
they're now-
anything?
I'd be curious. That's what I want to know is how does the 10 years play
10
play
years-
into everyone's
The 10 years
idea?
is important because now Iceman isn't the little crazy rebel, he's a professor. Now Kitty Pryde isn't someone, she's the headmistress. You get to imagine, like you've wanted to, the characters that you love from the movie becoming adults and leading new children. That's why X-Men works, is because as it evolves, teachers become professors then teach new students.
that
So
was in the
do they
movies.
ever leave the school, or is
Some
it just
of them
math?
do. The ones that want, and that way you don't have to worry about scheduling stuff. That's why you can have which actors you want. The thing with Inside Out doesn't work with 10 years is because the 21-year-old
Saved by
age
the Bell, the
is,
mutant years.
Yeah, I want that so bad, and it has an
And
audience.
in
Netflix.
X3, they do have a Professor Rogue, don't they?
Right.
So
It's
we
the
had that. We
evolution
had
of
that in
that.
the movies.
It's
There's
going
nothing that your
further.
TV show gives me that's new from the movies.
But
And
we
I
don't-
want something new, and the X-Men can't give me that.
You want Herman's head, Charlie. Admit it.
And I didn't get to enjoy Herman's head because I was way too young. So now we get a really interesting take on this concept that didn't get to go long enough and really explore
But a
it.
sequel
I think
to
it went the
movie-
perfect amount.
Yeah,
It
and
was
a
about
sequel-
someone
But
growing
that's-
up,
That's
and she
Herman's
grew
head.
up.
But that's Inside Out the movie. But we now see her at 10 years and what that woman is now, and what her relationship is like with her parents, what their life is like.
That sounds
We've
like a
got this-
movie to me. That sounds like a sequel movie, like
That's
Toy
the
Story
best
2.
TV shows right now is they have that sort of scope where you get into all these deep dives of the characters and find out where they are and
You'd
how
also
they
have to
relate to
like
each
break
other.
Riley to put her back together, because she's very well
Why?
adjusted at the end of Inside Out. She knows that like joy and sadness have
Are
to work
any
together.
of us as humans ever like broken and not put back together? We
Is she just gonna have a
persevere.
meltdown every
Would-
week?
would
And
you
then
do-
like,
yeah,
oh
do
god, my memories are dying.
Do you have a meltdown every week? No.
And also,
you
the
move
core of
through your
Inside Out
life
was
and
also
you try to explore the world as you know it and try to deal with all the emotions
Would
going
you
on
tune
in your
in every
head.
week to go like, oh, I'd like to know? I wouldn't invest enough to know what she's up to now. I haven't rewatched Inside Out more than twice. I wouldn't watch every single week. That
Because
character,
that's a movie versus a TV show.
but
The TV
I don't
show would
care about
offer
her
you
enough to, or the little emotions enough
So,
to invest.
What I want from each of you guys is the tone of your show and how is it taking advantage of this episodic TV format. Spencer, because we haven't heard more about Big Lebowski.
Sure. I think that the tone of it is more comedic, like than Fargo, the TV show, which is another Coen Brothers adaptation where they're like, oh, that'll never work, and it turns out it's incredible. Where you are taking the characters and the tone are the same as the movie, but yeah, the plot week to week is something different. And I think apart from you guys who are arguing like, oh, we need to add more story and take the plot in different directions, I think what you want to do is preserve the characters and not have them change. You're just putting them in a different world 10 years later to see how they would react to the modern day, or 10 years after Big Lebowski, to see how they would handle challenges in a decade later.
All right, Charlie, Inside Out. What's the tone of the show, and how would it take advantage of being a TV show episodically?
And I just want to say that Fargo works because it's an anthology series, and you've got a lot, and you also have Noah Hawley. So that's the virtue of Fargo. You get
I
a lot
also
of
have
difference.
Noah Hawley. I said so.
You get
I also get Noah
Hawley.
Hawley.
So with Inside Out, what I love about what's going on specifically Netflix right now is you get these deep dives into characters in a very serio-comic way. And Inside Out is literally serio-comic. You've got joy and sadness coming together. And the human experience is taking all these nuances and emotion and putting them together and bringing it to the rest of your life. It's such a beautiful concept and such a thing that you can share with the people around you. The family could sit down and watch this show and deal with the different things coming into her life, what the family's dealing with 10 years later. This is the only show of the three that deals with the 10-year concept and what it means to these characters now, who they are, what the world is like, and who they can be going forward. It uses every part of the lessons they learn in the interim and then looks towards the future. You are there with her, you care about her, and you learn, and you love, and you laugh, and it's a beautiful serial comic show.
Okay, so each episode would it be like a different issue, or? It
would be her going through her life, dealing with the different things that come up, looking for a job, dealing with a parent who maybe gets sick, or she has a fight with one of them, or she has a fight with her boyfriend. That's never explored because she's 11 years old, so obviously you wouldn't deal with that in that sort of movie. Right. It's a natural progression of what 10 years would bring you in a life of a person.
All right, and then Coy, tone of the show, and how does it take advantage of the episodic?
The tone of the show is very much like what the X-Men comics feel like. It is learning why it's okay to be different. It is learning what it's like to be an outsider and accepting it. Each week you can have a new problem, and you can have overarching stories throughout the reason it's a TV show is the reason Daredevil works is because it has an arc. You can invest in multiple characters. A team shouldn't be a movie at the go. That's why Avengers led up to it. This allows for us to invest in each character. It needs to be that kind of show. It's a drama. It is. I love the idea of Saved by the Bell of X-Men, but as a drama instead of a comedy. I want to invest in these kids. They're high schoolers for a reason, and the reason 10 years makes sense is, like you said, X-Men 3 had a student become a teacher. It's a continuation of something 10 years later. We can see how these characters that we care about evolve, and we can meet new students. So it has it's built in to have scheduling issues resolved. It's built in to have characters that we want to see where they landed. I want to know where the X-Men landed, and I want to know why new characters are important. But X-Men 3 wasn't good. This allows us to redeem these things, and we need a show where people feel like they not only are accepted, and we can have all the emotional stakes of that, and we can have all the relaxing characters we love of that, but in a show that takes place in a canonic universe that feels like the X-Men comics.
All right. Juan,
wow.
Any fact checks, and what is the tone of the worldwide web?
It's not a fact check, but a lot of people in the YouTube comments were upset that none of the fighters brought up Legion as a counter argument.
I didn't want to. It would have helped them.
Yeah, no, I don't want to bring up Legion. I love Legion.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, they were saying the case of there is already a sort of like after X-Men show.
Yeah.
But it's
Well,
not
directed.
directed. Yeah.
I'm just the messenger, guys. I'm not fighting. You don't have to come at me. Jeff Bridges did tell Variety that he would be open to a Big Lebowski sequel. However, the Coen brothers have said they are not at all interested in following up. Interestingly, John Turturro is making a film right now. It's in post-production called Going Places, where he is bringing back Jesus Quintana. So he is playing his character again. But that's all we're getting for that. And then a lot of people said Star Wars, which I thought was weird because we don't know. How could you do 10 years after we don't know what's coming yet?
Yeah, that's true. They're big spoilers for the movie.
Right, yeah. So you're going to reveal who Snoke is on the TV show? Other big suggestions, Harry Potter, Breakfast Club came up a lot, Serenity,
Back in attention.
Superbad,
They're in jail
Goonies. The number one most requested, The Professional. People were saying they want to see Matilda all grown up now as a assassin herself.
As the Femme Nikita, basically.
20 years later.
Which is great.
25 years later.
Just Natalie Portman and V for Vendetta.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough, yeah.
This is, as to quote Andy, this is very tough because I none of you really sold me fully on your concept. Especially I see what you're saying as far as you preserve the characters and you're just hanging out week to week. Seinfeld and The Simpsons are the same. I get that with the comedic things. I'm having trouble. I get where you're saying, Charlie, like it's dealing with the issues and it's new things. I don't know how that would work, though. I'm just trying to think how it would work. And then they also brought up the idea of, like, that sounds like a good idea for a sequel movie, but is it a good idea for a TV show? And then X-Men, we've seen it. We've seen it, but...
Not right.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying you all have fatal flaws in your arguments, is what I'm trying to say. I think I'm going to... Yeah, I think that... The movie argument kind of knocked Inside Out for me, as far as, like, this seems like a good idea for a sequel movie, but that concept, I don't know. I just don't see it working as a weekly show, which takes it down to Big Lebowski and X-Men for me, and it's really the choice between do preserve the comedic characters we know and put them in different situations every week, which is kind of the sitcom strategy, or advance the storyline and give different sides to it. I don't know. I don't love either ones, but based on those arguments, I'm going to have to give the edge to Coy. And with X-Men, so Coy, you get the point. It's a very difficult decision because, like I said, nobody really sold me on there.
Just me
So
watching X-Men alone, like, this is
Coy gets the point on that. Lon, I'm sure they're yelling on the internet.
Why do they never leave the school?
It is really, both polls are really close. In
Really?
fact, we have a tie on Twitter right now. 35% for both Inside Out and Big Lebowski. They
Yeah.
disagreed with you. But X-Men right behind with 30, so it was really close all around. And then YouTube, slight edge, Big Lebowski with 35%, Inside Out 34, X-Men 30.
Wow, so it's
pretty tight.
It's pretty tight.
Very tight.
It's
Both.
very tight.
Very
No,
tight.
that could have gone any number of ways, and I just had to pick one. It's part of being the judge. It's why it's not
Tough.
fun. Sometimes you just have to pick one. All right, so that moves on to the speed. That means Charlie, I'm sorry to say, you will not be moving on to the speed round, but you're going to help me judge these answers.
Ready.
Lon, I will also, as Andy likes to say, activate you to help me.
Activate Lon.
Coy, the
Engage.
speed round monster, and Spencer, the
Remember,
movie fights
quality,
champ.
not quantity.
87 words.
Spencer,
Nonsense.
the movie fights champ. You are now going head-to-head in the speed round. A chance to win 5 more points. I will ask you. You know how this works. You know how it goes. All right.
How much time is it? 15 or 20?
20 and 10.
20
right?
and 10.
Yes,
20 and
20
10.
opening and then 10-second rebuttal.
I will ask you 5 additional questions, or however many we need to determine a winner. You will each have 20 seconds to answer, and then a 10-second rebuttal. If both of you say the same answer at the... No, I'm not going to make this mistake that is usually made on the show. If one of you says an answer first, you get that answer. The other one will have to go for a backup answer. If you both say the same answer at the same time, I don't know what we do. We make a determination.
You and I decide which one we heard
But
first.
if you both have the same answer, whoever says it first gets that answer, then you'll have to do a backup answer. Any questions?
Great, let's do it.
All right, ready? Question 1. Ant-Man and the Wasp is starting production. What is the best non-Marvel movie featuring Paul Rudd?
Aw.
Yeah.
Got a couple.
Yeah, I've got a...
Oh, that you're playing chess. Okay, interesting. Speedrun chess. This is the speed round.
I'll say I love you, man.
Spencer goes with I Love You, Man.
Knocked Up.
Coy has chosen Knocked Up. I Love You, Man versus Knocked Up. Spencer, you answered first, so you will be the first to answer. Lon, we have 20 seconds on the clock. All right, Spencer, I Love You, Man.
I Love You, Man. I Love You, Man is an original movie in the skin of a rom-com, but it's between two men, and it's about a topic that's just never explored so much, which is just male friendship, without all the, oh, are they gay, are they not gay? It's a subject of a movie that really hasn't been taken on in a broad comedic way before, and they just nail it. Paul Rudd is so likable. Jason Segel is so funny.
Coy, Knocked Up.
Knocked Up similarly handles a subject matter that's usually reserved for a different type of movie. This is a movie through a bro comedy dick joke movie about pregnancy. It makes men understand pregnancy more. It makes men understand women more. It makes men actually see what it's like to be on that side of it. It's a man movie about pregnancy, and it's beautifully done because you're invested in all the characters. The comedy's real, the laughs are real, and it started this whole wave of comedy we have today about the dick joke type thing. Knocked Up allowed...
There are other better movies for me that help me understand women. There's so many that have been made before. Precious, that's a bad example, but I Love You, Man is unique. It's one of one.
Wow.
It's not just about understanding women, it's about understanding how men relate to women and making them actually characters fully fleshed out, making the jokes heartfelt, making the comedy real, and making you understand all the people in the movie. All the supporting characters matter as much as the leads, and everyone matters. Everyone's heartfelt.
Okay. Shockingly, no one really mentioned Paul Rudd at all. And either one.
It was about the movie.
Yeah, that's true. It was about the movie.
Yeah,
That is
I was
true. It
afraid
wasn't
of
about
that.
the
I was
performance.
afraid about it.
You're right. It is
We
about
didn't
the
get
movie.
hung up on that.
Lon, I'm going to go to you first. What are you thinking?
I thought both fighters came out really strong, but I thought Coy definitely in the rebuttal came back much harder, and he convinced me.
Charlie, what are your thoughts?
So it was tough because I was expecting to hear more how Paul Rudd featured into it. And Knocked Up was a strange choice for me, from the sound of it, but you did pull it out for me. That sounded like a better movie to me from your arguments.
Yeah, Lon, I'm with you. I was kind of leaning towards Spencer, but I thought that Spencer bungled the rebuttal a little bit, and Coy came out a little stronger for me on Knocked Up in the rebuttal. So I'm going to give that point to Coy. So Coy, you pull ahead, 3-2.
First Precious reference.
Yeah.
In a while, though.
Thanks,
Precious
based on what
reference.
I'll
Only
by
movie I can think
Sapphire.
of about women. All right.
Not a good sign. There's that studio system again.
Question 2. The Dark Tower, as we mentioned before, or I don't know if we did. We didn't. We were going to mention it, but we did not. Is hitting theaters. It's a very simple question. Idris Elba or Matthew McConaughey?
McConaughey.
Idris Elba.
All right,
Yeah.
Spencer, I heard you say McConaughey first.
McConaughey's done it all. This is a guy that started as a cheesy rom-com lead, and then he became just like an everyday working actor, and then he rose like a phoenix into the McConaissance. He's made you like think in True Detective. He's made you cry in Dallas Buyers Club. He's made you do you know what in Magic Mike. He's a guy that has actually amazing range, but he's also kind of a
All right, Coy, Idris Elba.
McConaughey actually started really strong in Dazed and Confused, and he needed a McConaissance because of all the bad choices he made. There was a series of movies that were just awful. Idris Elba hasn't gone down that path. He's in Beasts of No Nation. He's incredible in it. He's in movies where he makes the material better. This guy wants to be Bond. This guy is Bond. They just haven't let him be yet. McConaughey can't do that. He needed a McConaissance. He needed to recover. Idris Elba hasn't had a misstep because he's consistently the best piece of all material he does. There's a reason people want Idris Elba for everything. McConaughey doesn't have that.
All right, let's give my brain a second.
yeah, right.
Okay.
Just let me parse what you said there.
All right, Spencer, rebuttal.
Idris Elba hasn't had the low lows that McConaughey has, or the high highs, because he plays kind of the same thing every time. He's always the stoic, cool badass, and yeah, that's fine to be in every movie, but I don't see him elevating his performance the same way McConaughey has, and showing the same vulnerability he has.
All right, and Coy.
Disagree. If you look at Rock and Roll and you look at Beast of No Nation, you look at Mandela, you could look. That's an Oscar-worthy performance that's very different from his last Oscar-worthy performance. And Rock and Roll is a fun Guy Ritchie movie. This guy can do everything. He has comedy. He has drama. He's not taking this misstep. So you're right. He's not as low.
It's a very difficult. Charlie, I'm going to ask you first.
God, I'm a sucker for McConaissance. Just the mention of it makes me happy. I think Coy brought it out at the end with really listing the movies that Idris has been in and shown range. So I'd go Coy on this.
That was a good counterpunch against the range argument. Lon.
It was, but I don't feel he did list a lot of movies that Idris Elba's great in, but I'm not sure that I'm really convinced. Like Spencer did. McConaughey's been in a lot more kinds of genres, and he's done a lot more different performances. I don't know that Coy had a good answer for that, even though it was a good rebuttal. So I'd probably go Spencer.
Yeah, Coy's your main argument was kind of that Idris Elba didn't need the McConaissance. I think that was kind of what you hung your hat on, but you didn't sell me on the negatives of McConaughey as much as Spencer told me. He made you laugh, he made you cry. He sold me on the range, the breadth, the length, the scope of his career. It was a good fight, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Spencer and McConaughey on this one. Tied up again, 3-3, 3 questions left. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. All right. Pick a good one. Okay, I like this one. It was recently reported that Suicide Squad 2 has lost its director.
Oh.
Sad, isn't it? Who should step in to direct Suicide Squad 2?
Steven Soderbergh.
Okay.
Oh.
So yeah, we can pick anyone. It's not who actually would take the job.
No, this is who should step in. Yeah.
Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, all right. So, wow. 2 90s indie darlings.
That's what they do.
2 90s indie darlings, Steven Soderbergh versus Quentin Tarantino. It's Coy, I heard you say Soderbergh first, so you are first on the clock.
Soderbergh knows how to shape a team. Ocean's movies are all about team. They're all about making individual characters important. He knows which characters do what. He assembles a puzzle and he makes everyone matter. The Suicide Squad needs to have each individual puzzle matter. It needs to go forward. It needs to have an arc. All 3 of those movies have arc. Whether or not they're good, each one has comedy. Each one has the chops to lead this. And his directing style is perfect for a comic movie. It's bright. It's funny. The editing is fast. Everything about the way he directs is suited for a comic movie. Plus the fact that he knows teams equals Suicide Squad.
What? Okay. I want to talk about Tarantino as a fit for Suicide Squad in particular. Suicide Squad is a group of gangsters. That's all Tarantino makes. And Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and The Hateful Eight, these are all bad people brought together to do something around a common goal. And yeah, Suicide Squad has all these, one at least had all these weird pop culture flourishes and like editing and references to other movies. Quick cuts, a lot of action. It wasn't about a grounded character movie.
All right.
Tarantino doesn't make movies, he makes Tarantino movies. The studio would never let him make a Tarantino movie. David Ayer tried to make a movie that was David Ayer, and that's what Suicide Squad happened. Tarantino would just make another piss bosh. It would be a mess of movie, and it couldn't happen because Tarantino wouldn't have the reins to do what he needs to, and Suicide Squad wouldn't work.
Soderbergh would bring a groundedness and a realism that doesn't belong in this franchise. He turned Magic Mike, the male stripper movie, into like a weird character study. I want a Suicide Squad movie that's bloody, that's action-packed, that's frenetic.
Juan, what are your thoughts?
I think Spencer had a really strong argument that Coy didn't respond to, which is the gangster crime element is so in the pocket of what sort of QT does, and I think a Suicide Squad movie that was a lot more like a Tarantino movie would probably work pretty well. So yeah, I think I gotta go Spencer.
Gotta go Spencer. Charlie, what are you thinking?
Honestly, the argument doesn't work for me of like who would take the job because this is fantasy
Right.
Neither of
job
them would.
anywhere.
Neither of
read
these
that
would come
script.
within 10 feet of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So based on the arguments of what they would bring to a movie, I side more with Spencer because I want to see a gangster, bloody, frenetic movie, and that's what Tarantino would obviously bring to Suicide Squad.
Both side with Spencer. Coy had a really good point though about it being a Tarantino movie and not a Suicide Squad movie. See, if I overrule you, people are just going to say that I'm being vindictive against Spencer, but I think that I've judged this pretty fairly so far.
You gotta
the
go with your
style,
gut.
I gotta go with my gut and the style, the team aspect, the puzzle aspect, and the argument that they wouldn't allow it to be a Suicide Squad movie, it'd be a Tarantino movie. Ugh, man. I think I'm gonna have to go with Coy on this one. I think I'm gonna have to pull the overrule and go with Coy. So that's only there's still 2 questions left. Coy, you're ahead by 1. That's a good one here. Okay.
So this is must win for Spencer.
This is
so
a must.
fast.
This is a must win
It's
for
so great.
Spencer.
It's my rap.
This is a must win for Spencer. What? No. Okay, here we go. Detroit is hitting theaters this week. What's the best movie directed by Catherine Bigelow?
Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker.
Zero Dark 30.
Spencer says Zero Dark 30. All
I
right.
wanted to say Point Break, but I couldn't.
I
I
tried.
couldn't do that,
That
with,
was
like,
my
and
pause. I
actually
was like,
believe it.
can I?
Yeah.
Wow, both first instinct to go with Point Break did not.
I would
bold
go with
move.
Point Break.
That would have been a fight. Just Point Break off.
It's not though. But I mean, it's great, but it's
All
not.
right.
You're pretty
so,
close to it now,
Hurt
after.
Locker versus Zero Dark 30. Coy, I believe you answered first, so you're first on the clock.
Hurt Locker made you feel like what it is to be like at war in a modern day war setting. That was the first movie that really made us understand how awful the modern warfare felt like. You invested in Jeremy Renner, started his career. You invested in Anthony Mackie, started his career. This movie was so good, you actually felt like you were in the trenches in the heat of battle consistently for 2 hours. The moment where he's standing there looking at the Isle of Cyril, you felt like you went to war with him and don't know how to react in modern life. I've never known.
Spencer.
Hurt Locker sent you to war, so did Zero Dark 30, and it sent you everywhere around the war. This pulled back to give you the scope of the entire situation, of the investigation, of the interrogation, of the politics around it, and of the war. That raid sequence in Zero Dark 30 is one of the best action filmmaking things ever put to screen, and it's a true story. I know Hurt Locker is based on real events, but this was a very actual event that could have been so politicized or taken out of context or screwed up, and she nailed it.
All right, Coy.
You didn't really care about any individual soldier in that movie. It was so distracting because of all the directions it took. It didn't feel like you were there. It didn't feel like you were invested. It told a very documentary-style story, very documentary way. I want to know what my characters are. I want to be invested. I want to be with them.
I disagree. I cared about Jessica Chastain that whole time, the way she was shunned and the way she overcame adversity to actually relentlessly track down her man over an entire lifetime. And yeah, the Hurt Locker, yes, that's a good shell-shocked soldier story. I've seen that character.
Lon, what are your thoughts?
This one was really close. I think they both made really great points, and they both really did a good job of describing the differences between the movie and how it worked for that movie. Mm-hmm. I will say I thought Coy right at the end sort of sold me a little bit more on the Zero Dark 30 is sort of all over the place, and Hurt Locker is much more intimate, gives you more of a feel for the character, so I think I'd go with Coy.
Mm-hmm. Charlie.
I came in with a bias because I like Hurt Locker more than Zero Dark 30. But I really like how Spencer brought up how Bigelow took the property and made it great and put it around her, which I felt was more towards the question. And that sold it for me, personally.
Yeah, it's very close for me, too. The point that Spencer made that I did not consider, or that I thought was kind of set it apart from Hurt Locker, because they're both great war stories. They both make you feel for their protagonists. I think you both brought that up. The one that Spencer said was, it's a real-life event. It could have been politicized. It wasn't. The action filmmaking sequence that's in Zero Dark 30, he just made that choice stand out to me a little bit more. So I'm actually going to go with Spencer on this one, which ties it up, which means we're going to one last question. Ooh, which one will it be? Do I go with the funny one or do I go with the
Funny one.
I always vote for funny, but the viewers don't always
I
agree.
know, the viewers don't like it.
Just the best movie
it's
snack.
Not a title fight. It's not a title fight.
It's
Al
just
waxing
fun.
poetic
We're
about
just,
Catwoman.
we're just enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, we're just having a good time.
It's the internet.
The
It's
fringe
the
new
internet.
wave of Catwoman basketball.
Okay, here we go. Let's have fun with this one, right?
Okay.
What movie monster
Nice.
would make the best pet?
Gremlins.
Is the Iron Giant a monster?
I don't know if I would. Lon, you're
He
our
was built to
qualifier.
kill.
I don't.
I
think
don't think I would.
Fine. Let me go back to drawing board. Jaws. The shark. What's his name?
Jaws
Yeah.
from Jaws.
Bruce.
All right.
Bruce.
So, Gremlin. No, Coy, when you say gremlins, you mean the gremlins themselves, or are you talking about
Both Mogwai and Gremlin.
Okay, so
To not get
the whole package.
Well, yeah, that's only fair.
Okay, no, sure. No, I'm just making sure. All right, so Gremlins versus Jaws. Which movie monster would make the best pet? Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Yes.
I'm so glad I went with this question. Coy, you're up first.
Mine are both cute and cunning. Mine can both be used as attack dogs and to snuggle with. Mine are both very interesting in both aspects, and there's nothing cuter than a Mogwai. This is a creature that lives to be adorable. It's a Furby in real life, but better, it is what inspired so much the cuteness of the 80s. It is a creature made for love, and then the Gremlins are intelligent, they're fun, they're charismatic, they're interesting, they're entertaining. I love laughing at Gremlins too. There's nothing better.
All right, Spencer.
Gremlins aren't charismatic. They're monsters. They'll ruin your entire life. No, nothing's worse than having a high-maintenance pet. It's why there's so many abandoned pot-bellied pigs everywhere. People think that they're gonna be cute, but it turns out that there's too much care. There's so many rules. You can't feed them at this time. You can't put water on them. Jaws is just a sweet-ass shark that you have in a cool aquarium. You just throw a bunch of meat in it once in a while, and it's an awesome thing to show off, and it's an awesome thing to look at. It's gonna make you the coolest guy in town.
You're trapping a 10-foot, 20-foot shark in a tank. What's more high maintenance than a shark? They are so hard to take care of, and you never get to pet them. There's no love, there's no charisma, there's no interaction. You have a thing in a tank, you can just touch it, play it on TV, watch Jaws, and you have the same pet. There's nothing to that, and there's no reason to do it.
You're not gonna pet a gremlin, it's gonna bite your little hand off. Whereas Jaws, it's not about the pet factor. You're keeping a monster for a pet, so you wanna show off. You wanna look cool like a villain in your super lair. You have a shark in your house. How cool is that?
This feels very familiar. Do I go with the choice that would be people would be cooler to have, or that's better to show off? This seems very familiar.
Take your vengeance out of this. Keep your
very
vengeance out of it.
What about if you had a Ferrari and a DeLorean
Exactly.
for your shark to ride around in?
Lon, what are your thoughts?
Wow. I feel like I just heard more from Spencer. I heard more about why Jaws would be cool to have in your house, and I think all I really heard from Coy was like the petting factor, which after they're not a Mogwai anymore,
There's two different, I
goes
described two different
way
pets.
downhill. I feel like I gotta go with Jaws.
Yeah, Charlie, what are your thoughts?
There's a lot of instructions that go on with Mogwai. So upkeep is kind of, you weirdos. Why would you not choose like a Falcor?
He's not a monster.
He's not a monster, he's lovely.
He's a big beast.
He looks terrifying. He's all fleshy. It's weird.
So
or
Charlie,
Sully or Mike.
Keeping
anyway.
a shark is so hard. Aquariums have entire teams.
whom are you going with, Charlie?
Oh, this is very tough. I just feel like you still get the cute and cuddly out of your pet, so I take Coy.
I've been transported into Andy Signor's chair, and I face a decision much like you faced those many weeks ago. And I have to say, sitting in this chair, the impracticality of the Gremlins as a pet versus the awesomeness of something to put in a tank and show people has won me over. Spencer, you get the point, and that means you win the game. Wow.
Champ hangs on to the belt.
Shoes on the other foot.
Your pelts.
Guys, this has been a very fun and a very somewhat average length episode of Movie Fights. I want to thank today's awesome
There it
fighters,
is.
Coy Jandro, Charlie Feldman, Spencer J. Gilbert. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you come back and fight again. Spencer, your championship reign has begun with another win under the belt. get ready. I think there's going to be a lot more like these two coming for you, coming for that
not
belt,
easy.
including me. So thank you guys for coming, and thank you guys for watching. Thank you if you're watching live on YouTube. Thank you for watching and commenting and subscribing. And if you're not, thank you for coming back and enjoying the show. We will be back next week, not live. We're going to bring you our all-star panel from San Diego Comic-Con, but 2 weeks from today, we'll be back here live. Andy will be back with a brand new panel of fighters fighting everything movie-related out. I hope it's as ridiculous as this episode is. This was a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.